What's happening? Really? Is that even possible?
Good morning, and thanks for joining us at 8 a.m. I'm Fabian Kay.
And I'm Tim Callahan. We began this morning with the city of Bakersfield remembering an icon, the longest-serving mayor, Harvey Hall, who passed away late last month, being remembered by the city he loved so much.
This morning, we have live coverage of his celebration of life, honoring the legacy he left behind. 23 ABC News starts in 30 seconds. Good morning, and thanks for joining us for this special edition of our 8 a.m. newscast. This morning, we're looking back on the life and incredible legacy of former Bakersfield Mayor Harvey Hall.
Yeah, today a celebration of life being held at Rabobank Arena downtown. We have live team coverage of all the events, including the procession leading through downtown, and then that service that will start at 10 a.m. We plan to be on the air with you throughout the 8 a.m. hour, looking back at his life and celebrating all that Mr. Hall did for this wonderful community. We'll be on our digital platforms from 8 to 9 as well. Then head back on air at 10 a.m. for that entire service. We'll bring you that live.
And we are now going to take a live look outside of Rabobank Arena. That's where that celebration of life will take place for former Bakersfield Mayor Harvey Hall. Yeah,
let's take a look at this scene. This is obviously right outside Rabobank Arena, where thousands are expected to attend. We have a long list, of course, of dignitaries here locally. Mayor Karen Go, the current mayor, officials from the city of Bakersfield, as well as people who knew and beloved Mayor Harvey Hall. Of course, he served as the mayor of Bakersfield for 4 terms, a total of 16 years before returning to his lead role at Hall Ambulance. Again, you're looking live at Rabobank Arena, where in just a few hours, that procession, which will start in central Bakersfield at the Golden State Mall, will head down towards downtown Bakersfield, all around that area where that procession will get going at 10 a.m.
That's right. Now, we know the celebration of life for Mayor Harvey Hall is taking place at the Rabobank Arena, but first, family and friends will be gathering for a procession leading to today's memorial.
And 23 ABC's Tori Cooper is live for us in downtown Bakersfield with everything commuters will need to know. Tori, you're at obviously Hall Ambulance, where a lot of people will be stopping by. What's the scene like out there today? And what are we talking about in terms of traffic in downtown Bakersfield?
Tim, I'm right here at the 2000 block of 30th Street in downtown Bakersfield, where the procession for the iconic former mayor Harvey Hall is scheduled to depart. Now, if you take a look over my shoulder right now, you can see that first responders from Hall Ambulance are on scene right now, along with CHP, Bakersfield Police, and Kern County Fire. Now, all of these units will be making their way through the streets of downtown Bakersfield to give all community members an opportunity to pay their respects to Mr. Hall. Now, like I said, this procession will begin right here at 30th Street and will make its way towards Golden State Avenue and F Street. From there, the procession will head east towards Q Street and 21st and will pass right by Hall Ambulance. Then units will take 21st Street to N Street. From there, the caravan will head south on N Street to Truxton and will finish out at the Rabobank Arena. Now, like I said, this parking lot is filling up extremely fast. As you can see, there's a number of Hall Ambulance employees already here on scene, and CHP is camping out here right now as well, along with Kern County Fire. All of these units are gearing up to make sure that they are ready to make this procession towards Rabobank Arena. We will have all of your memorial coverage right here, and with that, we are going to send things over to 23 ABC's Scott Sheehan.
Right, so another thing, Tori, the procession will be coming past here. As you can see, there's a couple of the ambulances getting ready to go. There's multiple ambulances from other areas around Kern County that are also going to be here. And if I can step out of the way, I can show you a little bit of what's going on. So this is American Ambulance. They're one of those 4. Another one is the Medic Ambulance and also American Medical Response. I'm told over 40 ambulances are going to be a part of that procession, and at least 30 different of those recent graduates from the Hall Academy will also take part of it. Now, Hall Ambulance is how Harvey Hall made his living other than being mayor of Bakersfield. He was a part of the Hall Ambulance service for about 5 decades, and he got his start in ambulance from a dare, famously. One of his friends told him to come along with a ride, and that's how he started the Hall Ambulance service in 1971 and was in charge of Hall Ambulance up until a couple of weeks before his death. And so the Hall Ambulances are going to be a big part of that procession. They're getting ready. We're going to get you more information as far as how many, what they're going to do. But right now, we're going to send it back to the studio with Tim and Fabian.
Scott, thanks so much for that. And as you see that scene there, it's reminiscent of just the impact Mr. Hall had. Ambulances coming from all over to pay tribute and to be part of this procession, which, as we mentioned, will start in just about 45 minutes. We'll, of course, check back with our crews live in the scene. We're going to turn now to that celebration that we've been talking about that'll happen at Rabobank Arena at 10 a.m. Lots of people expected to speak about the legacy that Mr. Harvey Hall left behind here in Bakersfield.
That's where we find 23 ABC's Alicia Patillo with more on what we can expect and what you should expect if you're headed down there this morning. Good morning, Alicia.
Good morning, Tim and Faven. I'm right outside the Rabobank Arena, where many have been in since 7 this morning, setting up for the celebration of life for a man that meant so much to this community. Let's take a look inside of that arena, in which we shot, 23 ABC shot yesterday, so you can get a glimpse of what you'll see when you walk in. Inside, the stage is set, and you can see from this video here, the stage that has historical Hall ambulance trucks, what we believe are some of the original trucks, and of course Mr. Hall's historic and iconic suits are on full display. Officials are expecting thousands to be here today, and in a little bit we'll get into exactly what the ceremony will be, the order of the ceremony, and the many people expected to be here. Again, I'm right outside the Rabobank Arena. The ceremony is set to begin at 10 a.m. and all the public is welcome. I'm reporting live in downtown Bakersfield. Alicia Patillo, 23 ABC News.
Alicia, thank you. Let's now check in with Lockhart for a look at what folks are heading downtown can expect as they head out this morning.
Yeah, those temperatures are already increasing. We are already at 71 degrees here in Bakersfield, so 11 degrees warmer than it was at this time yesterday. Those wind speeds 6 miles per hour right now. So if you are headed out looking to go watch that procession at 8 a.m., we are going to be at 73 degrees. And then later on, if you are leaving that memorial service at 11 a.m., we are going to already be in those 80s. We're looking at that high of 96 later on this evening. We do have moderate air quality today with an AQI of 84. For the rest of the valley, you guys are going to be reaching those mid-90s valley winds, about 5 miles per hour throughout the day. And over in our mountain communities, you guys are going to be in those mid-80s to upper 80s in the southern mountains, low 90s in the Kern River Valley, mountain winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. And over in our desert cities, you guys are going to be in those mid to upper 90s, reaching 100 in Ridgecrest, those desert winds 5 to 30 miles per hour, and you can expect some breezy conditions later on this evening with those gusts picking up to 30 miles per hour. And as of right now, those roadways are clear, but that procession will be affecting some streets, Golden State Avenue, F Street, QNN Street, and 14th Street, as well as Truxton Avenue. I will be monitoring that throughout the morning and let you know when those will be affected when that procession starts at 8:45.
All right, Emma, thanks for that. As we mentioned, that's getting underway in just about 45 minutes. And we have much more ahead on this special newscast, devoting our coverage to, of course, this celebration of life for the former Mayor Bakersfield, Harvey Hall.
We'll be right back.
Police Department Ray Pruitt, who told me that his wife used to work with former Mayor Harvey Hall. So they're here to pay their respects and celebrate a man that meant so much to the community. Again, you can see several people are making their way. Want to show you all right now this vintage fire truck. You can see that the ladder is raised, and we are told that another truck will be coming to raise another ladder, and then they will hang a flag. And I also want to show you guys, just take a look inside from this video that we shot earlier. The stage is set, and you can see from this video here on stage there are historic Hall ambulances, what we believe are some of the original ambulance trucks, and of course Mr. Hall's historic and iconic suits are on full display to show to the public. Officials are affecting thousands to be here. And again, I'm right outside the Rabobank Arena. The ceremony is set to begin at 10 a.m. Again, so many people are here and coming from every direction on Truxton Avenue. And we will continue to bring you the latest as it goes on in the ceremony. Reporting live in downtown Bakersfield, Alicia Patillo, 23 ABC News.
And if you are looking to head out there right now, we are already in those 70s. By 9, we will be at 75, warming on up to those 80s as that memorial service ends at 11, and then that high of 96 later on today, even heading into the evening. And we're looking at light wind speeds right here in the morning, continuing to stay light and fairly calm throughout the day, picking up just a bit in the desert later on this evening. And we have moderate air quality today with an AQI of 84, so it has gotten worse since yesterday, but it is still in that moderate range. And for the rest of the valley, you guys will be reaching those mid-90s. Valley winds around 5 miles per hour. And over in our mountain communities, you guys will be in those mid-80s to upper 80s in the southern mountains, low 90s in the Kern River Valley. And over in our desert cities, you guys will be in those mid to upper 90s, reaching 100 in Ridgecrest. Again, those desert winds picking up later on this evening. Gusts could reach 30 miles per hour. And that procession is set to start in about 10 minutes or so. It'll start on Golden State Avenue, and that will affect streets in the area. Of course, I will monitor that. It will end on Truxton Avenue in front of Rabobank Arena. And just to note, starting right now, one eastbound lane on Truxton Avenue is closed. So if you were headed in that direction, be aware of that and road closures in the area. And as that procession starts, I will monitor that throughout the morning.
Thanks so much for that. We'll still come on this special edition of 23 ABC News on this Saturday morning. Our live coverage continues. We'll check back in with our crews. We want to leave you with a live look right now outside of the area where that procession is set to start.
That's right. It'll be making its way through downtown, and we have reporters all over downtown Bakersfield, so you'll see those images as we get them. We'll be back in just a minute.
Good morning. Just before 8:45 on your Saturday morning as we continue our special broadcast here, remembering the life and legacy of former Bakersfield Mayor Harvey Hall. In just a few minutes, a procession is going to get started underway in downtown Bakersfield, paying tribute to that man who loved this community so much.
That's right. That's where we find 23 ABC's Tori Cooper. Tori, can you tell us what the mood is there as that procession gets ready to begin?
Faven, the mood is definitely, somewhat lighthearted. I actually just ran into this community member, Blair, who shared a special memory with me that he had with Mr. Hall. And I want you to share that with everyone at home. So go ahead, Blair. Tell me what happened.
I'm an ambassador on the Downtown Business Association, and in recognition of all of Mayor Hall's many accomplishments and support of the DBA, Chester the dog gave Mayor Hall he gave him the big dog bone, and it was this brass bone, really thick, heavy bone. It was about yay big, and they said the big dog from Chester to the mayor, and I think it was in honoring of the city, sister city things, something like that, because he did so much. In fact, the way he ran meetings, boy, he was on time, and in keeping Bakersfield clean, keep Bakersfield beautiful, and that he did a lot. And running a business as well. I mean, big commitment. So I appreciate that.
And so you're having an opportunity to be able to pay respects here today. Are you going to be heading towards Rabobank Arena?
I will.
Awesome. Well, enjoy your day, and I hope you have a ton of support around you. I'm sure that the community will definitely be right there with you. Thank you so much for joining us, Blair. And the procession is just about to make its way. I was just told they're about 5 minutes away from hitting the streets, and they're going to be heading right towards Golden State Avenue and F Street. From there, they will head east towards Q Street and 21st, where they will pass by Hall Ambulance. From there, they will head towards N Street. From N Street, they'll take that to Truxton and finish out at Rabobank Arena. I'm going to have Tarek pan to the right so you can see that some of CHP and Bakersfield Police are already getting on their bikes right now and gearing up their cars, starting their engines, and they are all about to start making their way. We will have all of your memorial coverage right here, and with that, we're going to send things over to 23 ABC's Scott Sheehan.
All right, actually, Emma, Tori, we'll take it here. Blair was talking about the meetings starting on time. I was in a meeting once for the Great American Cleanup that he did every year out at Yokitz Park, and boy, those meetings started on time. And as you saw there from the Bakersfield police officers and CHP, they're going to start on time because that's the way Mr. Hall would have wanted it. So again, in just a few minutes, that'll get underway.
Such a busy man, yet he was always on time.
Yep.
Wow. All right, let's send things over now to 23 ABC's Emma Lockhart. She's been... Oh, are we going to go back out live?
All right, so let's go back out live as we just talked about getting started on time. We're at 8:43 in the morning. As you see there, the CHP setting up what looks to be on the side road here just behind Golden State. As you see that CHP cruiser taking off, this is probably going to look, we can assume, like a very formal and typical procession. As you see, the CHP officers will lead this off, and followed by, as we see there, the Hall ambulance, the iconic first model Hall ambulances dating back to 1970s will follow, along with the newest, as you see behind it there. And that's really when we shot that Made in Kern County, just I was mentioning a year ago. He was so happy and took so much pride in those new ambulances that were just released a few months ago, and was so happy to see those on the streets and rolling around all throughout Kern County. So we're going to see those no doubt in this procession as well. As we mentioned, getting underway at 8:45. We saw the CHP. If we can pull our cameras back just a little bit, we'll be able to see sort of we're going to look live right now at Hall Ambulance, which is on that procession route. And we're also, I want to switch if we can, we're getting our first look inside Rabobank Arena. As we can see here, the live pictures are up, it looks like, inside of Rabobank Arena. We want to take those live. This is where that ceremony will be happening. As you see there, one more of those iconic ambulances from the 1970s on display at Rabobank Arena right now.
All right, and those classic orange and blue colors, it's so fitting that Rabobank Arena is going to be filled with those. He was such a colorful man, but no doubt, orange and blue, his favorite colors.
And he talked about the fact that these ambulances back in the day were just white, right? And so he came up with that idea to add that stripe of orange, add those favorite color scheme that he had. As we take you back live now to Central Bakersfield, where that procession is getting ready to start. You can see the lights are activated on all of those ambulance units. The CHP, Bakersfield Police Officer, traffic units will lead this procession off. That it's just getting underway. As we talked about, on time. We're talking about 8:45 coming right along to this hour. This procession getting ready to start and move its way through central and downtown Bakersfield, ending at Rabobank Arena. You can see there that the lights and sirens will be going as this ceremony gets ready to take place.
And you see there we have Siren, the rescue dog, sitting in the front seat of the classic car there. He was so passionate about Siren, the rescue dog. And how that came about was he was so concerned about children being nervous when they were being taken to the hospital. So Harvey Hall created this cuddle toy, and now in life-size form we see Siren the dog.
Yep, and we see this procession getting underway. As we talked about, it's 20 seconds after 8:45. This is getting right underway on schedule, as we see there the CHP along with the Hall Ambulance critical care units, as well as their ambulance units, getting ready to roll through the streets of downtown Bakersfield. As we talked about, we have you covered from multiple angles, including the start. We're going to take you here, and we're going to stay live on these pictures as this entire procession. We're going to get to see just the length and scale of how many people are involved in this. Gets underway in downtown Bakersfield, paying tribute. All of those ambulance workers, all of those people taking the time this morning to roll through downtown Bakersfield, really show people the impact that Hall Ambulance has. We talk about covering Kern County and just Frazier Park, Arvin, Wasco, all the way to the high desert. This is in massive company, paying a large tribute to Mayor Harvey Hall this morning.
That's right. And like we said, it all started with a dare and a $15,000 loan. And then in 2001, Hall elevated the care he provides with his paramedics by launching Hall Air Ambulance. I don't think we'll see any of those today, but just a testament.
Big deal.
Yeah.
That was a big deal for Hall to start that, the first air ambulance service in Kern County. Of course, we talk about the vast scale of Kern County, how large it is. That completely transformed the care that people were able to be given here in Kern County. And I want to point something out as we look at these live pictures. This is really symbolic to what Mr. Hall, the impact he had. These are other ambulance companies that have traveled from around the area to take part in this procession. Really speaks to just the impact that Hall Ambulance had. We can now see, 10 other companies along with some Hall Ambulance units as well, all taking place in this procession, rolling one by one, as now we see what looks to be a Kern County fire engine also taking part. Hall Ambulance, of course, working close with first responders from Bakersfield Fire and City Fire when they respond to these scenes. So no doubt it's all hands on deck today paying tribute to Mr. Hall.
Absolutely. And it's not what makes former Mayor Harvey Hall so great is not just Hall Ambulance. That's where it started, but just his commitment to making Bakersfield so great. He was so in love with this city, his philanthropy. And I know, Tim, you guys talked extensively about all the work that he's done for this community. Yeah,
I love, he talked about the community wrapped their arms around him when he first started this company back in 1971. And he always wanted to repay that. And that was really what his service to the city of Bakersfield when he was the mayor was all about. You remember seeing him in those that bright red sweatshirt. It said, "I heart Bakersfield." That's certainly what I'll remember him for when we went to these events on the weekends and saw him. As you see there, one of the last units now. We're taking a live look as we're looking at that procession. Bakersfield Police, you can see there in the background, shutting down streets as we now take you live to a look down. This is looking east on what looks to be 21st Street, where Hall Ambulance is at. You can see Bakersfield Police have shut down 21st and Q Streets, where this procession will come down south on Q Street and make that turn towards Hall Ambulance.
Wow. And like we said, we're going to see them coming just here shortly. And it's so fitting. I mean, I was talking to my mom about this last night, and even, we're immigrants, but we were so blessed to come here to Bakersfield. And growing up, that's a name that you saw and you heard growing up everywhere. We get so excited when Harvey Hall would show up with Siren the rescue dog to all of the school events. Just a really larger-than-life personality with his very colorful suits. Every time you knew Harvey Hall was coming to the school or at any one of the community events, I think one of the highlights is, well, what will he be wearing now?
There was those custom pinstripe that came in every color. Of course, the Omaha orange and blue, which he wore proudly. There was light red. There was, it was incredible to see him. You're looking live right now. We'll let you know about this is at Rabobank Arena, where you can see several Hall Ambulance employees are stationed outside there. As we're talking about a quick programming note for you, we're going to stay on the air for the next 10 minutes through our 9 o'clock hour. Then we're going to transition live on our digital platforms. We're there right now. If you want to tune in simulcast, you can get that launched right now. But we're going to continue at our 9 o'clock hour exclusively on our digital platforms from 9 until 10. Then we're going to be back here at 10 a.m. for that ceremony. I want to take you back live now to 21st and Q Street, where we see that procession now taking its one turn right towards Hall Ambulance. You see their CHP, Bakersfield police officers, along with the Hall Ambulance, one of those old and first iconic ambulance paramedic units, along with the new ones, as we see here, coming through downtown Bakersfield right now, live with you on the air. And we weren't sure if they were going to stop at Hall or keep moving, but as we saw from 23 ABC Scott Sheehan, there are several people that are gathered outside there as we watch now this procession going live by Hall Ambulance, the place where it all began.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to continue to drive by for that final salute there to the founder of Hall Ambulance and late Bakersfield Mayor Harvey Hall.
Yeah, and as we look here, we saw from that first shot, we'll get to see it again, just how many other ambulance companies are involved in this procession as well. It really spoke to the impact that Hall had, and really how he got started is, of course, we talk about that dare, we talk about other people coming around helping Mr. Hall as he began the company, and that's really the support in these first responder communities, is one helps another, right? So if there's an incident in the high desert and Hall Ambulance is near there, another ambulance company may respond and another fire unit may respond. They all work so hand in hand, and we're taking a live look right now at Rabobank Arena, where that procession is now rounded Hall Ambulance in downtown, making its final stop, where that community will come together to honor Harvey Hall.
That's right. And yesterday we spoke with Mark Coram, representative for Hall Ambulance, and he really wanted to stress the fact that this is not a somber day for the Hall Ambulance family or the family and friends of Mayor Harvey Hall, that this is a celebration of life. He even asked that people not wear black, but instead wear bright colors, like Harvey Hall did in his time, and, you know, especially that orange and blue.
Yeah, and I think that's what so many people will remember Mr. Hall as we see there, that procession rounding that final turn that's going to make its way right to Rabobank Arena off Truxton right there as they're making their way, that iconic old ambulance from the 1970s. Yeah, the colorful nature of Mr. Hall. He loved to be the sort of person that walked in that room, and he certainly filled the room with his spirit and with his tall nature, of course. He was a tall stature. And really just filled the room with love, filled it with strength and commitment. And we talked about in some of those shots, he started those meetings on time. He started those council meetings on time. That gavel got underway right at 5:15 when they got those underway. As we see here, again, we were looking live at a multitude of ambulances, not only from Hall Ambulance, as we see here in this next shot, but from surrounding communities that have come here to Kern County to pay tribute to the man that really launched and spearheaded the first response teams here in Kern County.
Absolutely. And aside from that, he was quite the philanthropist, as we know. And you talked about the city council meetings. During his time as a mayor, he donated his entire mayor's salary to his scholarship fund. Huge.
Yeah, he made a big point of that. Every year he would do the award ceremony for a local student here in the community. And yeah, he certainly didn't have to. It's something that he did out of the generosity. And, you know, we talk about just what he did with the city of Bakersfield. Also in different organizations. You know, he served as a board member for Bakersfield Activities League. He, of course, started the homeless initiative with the Homeless Collaborative to end chronic homelessness in Kern County. That was a huge deal back when he started the 10-year plan in 2008 to end chronic homelessness in Kern County. It was a big deal. He was involved with the Mission, Flood Ministries, Homeless Center. And that really was something he took so much pride in. I saw him on several occasions during my time at the Mission at Kern County, and he really took pride in getting on the streets and making an impact. As you're looking live now, this is inside Rabobank Arena, where you can see those flower arrangements in that famous orange and blue color scheme, along with an old ambulance sitting right to the side.
I'm really looking forward to those that will be getting up and hearing other stories. We all, I think, have our own personal stories of Harvey Hall, but to hear them from those who knew him best, you know, his family, his close friends, that is certainly going to be quite an emotional moment for many.
Yeah, and we can't, we've been asked by the family not to officially unveil the speakers who will be, and the format of this celebration of life. They want it to be special for folks who get there and will be attending live. But I can tell you, I'm looking over this list right now, and it does include several dignitaries high up in the community, from education to the law enforcement community, of course, to the first responders. As we're looking now live, back to that shot, heading into Rabobank Arena, you can see there, we see multiple different agencies from all around the community that have made their way. One of the SUV units you can see here from surrounding communities. We have American a medical response. Those are stationed all around Southern California, Northern California, and you can see just how many of those units have showed up. And right behind, of course, symbolic for the nature of which Hall Ambulance came together with the community, we'll see Bakersfield fire units as well as Kern County fire units as well.
And for those of you that are wondering about, the future of Hall Ambulance, Harvey Hall's wife has stepped in, and she will now be managing the daily operations of Hall Ambulance. So I'm sure she will keep things exactly as he wants them.
Yeah, and of course, he had it working perfectly and had it all down to a T. We saw in that piece he would go down to that dispatch center, which on days can be quiet, it can be hectic, it can be it's the nerve center, and he's spent so much time there. The detail. I want to take you now live as we talked about that bill where our shot is going out on it. But if we can take back live to Hall Ambulance and just push in on that sign. It was the place where Mr. Hall would post messages to the community, a birthday celebration, a team that wins at a big sporting event. They would display something on that billboard outside of Hall Ambulance. And as we see here today, it is, of course, to honor Mr. Hall, showing his life, 1941 born, and his passing in 2018. That sign has been such an iconic place in downtown Bakersfield. I remember... Yes, okay, we're just being told we have, as you can see, Mayor Karen Go, and we're going to listen live. Alicia, she, of course, preceded Mr. Hall and, of course, paying tribute today.
Thank you. Hi, Mayor Karen Go. Thank you so much for being here with us this morning. Now, we just talked about the void that you said the city is filling this morning. Tell us a little bit more about that and your personal relationship with Mr. Harvey Hall.
Mayor Hall cared so much about the community, and he was so actively involved in all aspects, in education, in the beautification. So that void is certainly going to be felt. And Mayor Hall was an outstanding, dedicated citizen. He was a friend to so many people. And so we are committed to continuing that legacy of excellence. He was always a person of excellence and wanted this to be the very best city in America, and it is, and we're going to continue supporting that.
And we saw so many people already, thousands of people filing into the arena. What type of presence does that say for Mr. Harvey Hall?
The love that Mayor Hall had for Bakersfield is now being reciprocated. We can see hundreds of people coming in. We see fire engines. We see all kinds of people here to celebrate that wonderful legacy, his dedication and love for our community.
Thank you very much, so much. All right, guys, the ceremony, celebration of life is beginning at 10 a.m. I want to just show you guys another shot of that beautiful flag. Thank you for tuning in, and we will be continuing our live coverage online.
And good morning. Welcome to a special edition of 23 ABC News, a digital edition on this Memorial Day for Mr. Harvey Hall. You're taking a live look right now at the Hall Ambulance Marquee in downtown Bakersfield. It's been a spot of celebration. It's been a spot to remember people in our community. And today, perhaps symbolic, it's remembering the great late Mayor Harvey Hall with that sign today.
That's right. And like everyone knows him here in town, if you're from here like I am, Mr. Bakersfield.
Yep.
And so now we want to take you guys inside of Rabobank, where that memorial is getting ready to start, that celebration of life at 10 o'clock. We'll, of course, be back on the air at 10 a.m. and bringing you that service in its entirety. All
right, and we, as you saw there, looking live inside Rabobank Arena just moments ago on 23 ABC, we brought you live that procession that went from the city center, that's of course the old Golden State Mall in central Bakersfield, made its way zigzagging through downtown Bakersfield, of course stopping at places that were special to Hall and to Hall Ambulance, passing by there, making that final turn to Rabobank Arena. And where, as you can see now live, this final preparations are getting underway, flowers in place. I saw a Bakersfield police officer there in their full memorial and the ceremonial uniform. They'll be, of course, helping today. Really symbolic of Hall Ambulance, the impact they had, and the support from this entire community.
That's right. Leading that procession, we had our Bakersfield Police motorcade along with CHP, and like you mentioned, other EMT services from around the state, making sure that they honor his legacy as well, taking part in that procession.
Yeah, and we talked about, we saw that live. Again, we have our crews out there. They're all getting ready. So we heard from Mayor Go. We're going to hope to check back in with some of them, our reporters on the scene, in just a few moments. But yeah, we saw that ceremony. It was perfectly fitting that you saw the other ambulance companies from around the state coming here, around the community, as well as Bakersfield Fire, City Fire as well. When Mr. Hall started Hall Ambulance, you know, he wanted to really help out the community and as he says it, wrap his arms around the community that helps support him. And as we see today, a multitude of people coming together from law enforcement, from first responders, from the education community, as well as, we talked also earlier about his impact he had on the homeless community, and really made that a point. He started that homeless collaborative and the initiative to end chronic homelessness here in Kern County. There's been so much work done. He really helped spearhead.
That's right. And he also was so passionate about keeping Bakersfield beautiful.
Yes.
So he started his keeping streets clean. And what I just loved about Harvey Hall is he led by example. It's not like he got this team together and sent them out. He'd be out there every Saturday morning alongside those picking up the trash, doing it with them. So it's so important.
And he would wear his I Love Bakersfield sweatshirt or whatever the time of the year was, and would get out there, like you said, on the streets and picking up trash. It was just fitting for the community he loved so much. And as we mentioned, we're joining you here on this live digital newscast for you from 9 o'clock until 10. That's when this will begin, this live ceremony. You're looking live inside Rabobank Arena, where in just about an hour, you can see the final preparations are being made for that ceremony. We're expecting several dignitaries. Of course, we heard from Mayor Karen Go. She just arrived at Rabobank Arena, getting ready. She will be taking part in this memorial today. And we have lots, we talked earlier, we're not going to reveal just exactly the lineup and who's speaking, but I can tell you, I'm looking at the lineup right now. We have people high up in the education community here within the Bakersfield Police Department, as well as different churches in this community. His work with the homeless in our community, from the Mission at Kern County, the Homeless Center, Flood Ministries, really tied into the church community as well. And so that was a special thing that Mr. Hall took part in, and one we're going to see on display today as the community comes together to honor Harvey Hall.
And can we talk about how Harvey Hall brought back to Bakersfield Christmas?
Really his main work in life that began when he started giving back so much to this community and giving back to so many people. As we're looking live there outside Rabobank Arena, a security presence perhaps for several dignitaries that may be coming here. We can expect, of course, perhaps House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy, who worked hand in hand with Mr. Hall throughout the years. We've heard from our crews there that some state senators, Roy Ashburn is in attendance, as well as other dignitaries who have a mark here in Kern County and are now coming back. As we look live there, that flag being draped right across, we can see you right in front of Rabobank Arena as this community comes together.
And the Bakersfield City Fire truck ladder is up there. We also heard from current Mayor Karen Go, who's there to pay her respects. She certainly had some huge shoes to fill when she took over as mayor following Mayor Harvey Hall.
All right, we want to turn things over to 23 ABC's Tori Cooper, who has another interview for us, and a familiar face in the veteran community, Dick Taylor, who, of course, Mr. Hall worked hand in hand also with that community. Tori, I would imagine from Mr. Taylor, there's a lot of memories he can share about his time with Mr. Hall.
Good, thanks.
Yes, Tim and Faven, I'm joined here live with Dick Taylor, who is a veteran and a pillar in this community, as well as Mr. Hall, who's going to share his imprint as well that Mr. Hall had on your life. So go ahead and tell me a little bit about your relationship with Mr. Hall and why you're here today.
Loved Mr. Hall, and what a great life that he led.
Just keep going.
Loved Mr. Hall. What a great life he led. I think that if I were to see him, I'd tell him, boy, what an honor you bring to our community. And Mr. Hall and Hall Ambulance were one of our community partners for businesses that hire veterans. And so they have several of their EMTs and paramedics are veterans. And so that was very important to him. He was part of the Kern Patriot Partnership, which is our arm of our office that hires veterans, and it was a big deal to Harvey to do that. And he's a genuine man, and of course, we're going to miss him, and I can't imagine the loss that his family is going through right now, but what a great life he lived, and what a phenomenal legacy he leaves behind. I've heard that a number of times today, but it really is. It's a legacy, and Mr. Hall was the face of Bakersfield for many, many years, and what a great face, and what a wonderful, caring man. Cared about his employees, cared about his fellow man, and cared about the community. Like he addressed homelessness and litter pickup and a lot of different things.
He really touched every facet of this community. I'm new here, and I feel like I already know him. And I see that you're decked out in Mr. Hall attire. Let's get you to put these sunglasses on.
I have my Harvey Hall sunglasses on, even though that's not what they originally were from. They were from a Chevrolet auto show. But you know what? These are very Harvey Hall-ish. Wearing those in his honor today.
He would definitely love the orange, I believe.
I don't have the orange plaid jacket on today, but if I could, I'd wear it. Yeah, right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dick. And I hope that today is a sense of closure for you. And thank you so much for sharing his impact with us here at 23 ABC. All right. Well, take care, Dick. Okay. And with that, we'll send it back to you, Faven and Tim.
Tori, thanks so much for that. Rocking the glasses, that would pay tribute to Mr. Hall. We're looking live just to the left of where Tori is standing. You can see now flags at Rabobank Arena have been lowered to half staff. We can maybe assume that other agencies throughout communities in Kern County will take part in that as well. Perhaps the fire department downtown, as well as other first responders and other people who are tied to Hall Ambulance, as we see flags lowered to half staff downtown.
And all morning we've been talking about exactly, all the achievements of Harvey Hall and what he's contributed to this community. But he was also really passionate about recognizing other people's achievements and the pride of Bakersfield's diverse population. He presented 1,836 proclamations, nearly 11,000 certificates of appreciation, performed nearly 1,000 ribbon cuttings with his custom-made oversized scissors, and led 91 groundbreakings, delivered 981 speeches, 469 welcomes, and hosted 452 foreign visitors.
Yeah, those ribbon cuttings were iconic. It was like, I remember his schedule. He had 2 secretaries because he went to so many of these events. They had to keep track of his schedule. He made it to every single ribbon cutting for a new business, a new program that was launched within the community of a nonprofit. He would go to just everything. He was that presence. He was there, and as we heard from Dick Taylor, in that typical Harvey Hall-esque, he would have those bright suits on and pinstripe, custom made. I'd love to find out where he made those.
All right, and thanks to Dick Taylor for honoring the family's wishes of keeping it colorful, keeping it not, I'm going to say happy, but not somber. They didn't want anyone in black. They wanted everyone to make sure they were just as colorful as Harvey Hall was.
Yep, keeping that alive. Well, we want to turn things over to 23 ABC Scott Chien. We see he's kind of across the way, right outside Rabobank Arena. Scott, still people pouring in there. There's about a half hour left until this ceremony starts, but we see that giant flag right behind you, welcoming those visitors in there.
Tim Faven, that's right. I've moved in front of the Rabobank Arena, and that is where all of this is going to take place. I want to show you a little bit of a wider scope, so if I can kind of step out of the way a little bit and show you. I was talking earlier this morning about those parking closures. Part of that reason, well, if you look down the street as we zoom in, that's for those ambulances, and those are those newer Hall ambulances that have on the side of it where they serve, where Hall Ambulance has shown, so you can get the scope of how much of an impact that Harvey Hall had, that he served this much of Kern County getting his ambulance service. So like I said, there's about the dozen of them here. As I walked over, I ran into more of those out-of-town ambulance services, people coming in from Visalia, Fresno, to join in on this. And if you go down a little bit, there's the fire truck. And where do those fire trucks have? They have this giant flag that is going up, and that is for Mr. Hall. So I just want to give you the broader scope of what's going on. This giant flag that's up here, that's flying to honor Harvey Hall. And again, you get the scope that, as you mentioned, Tim, the welcoming all these people into that celebration of life, of who this man, Harvey Hall, is and was, and what he meant to the community here in Bakersfield and Kern County. And I'll send it back to you guys.
Yeah, Scott, as we keep up with you here, just put it in perspective. Give us a scene, paint the picture in downtown. Obviously, we see some traffic going behind you, but all eyes right now red on Rabobank Arena with that flag behind you, with the grandiose of this event tonight, or this afternoon. It really is a big deal right now in downtown, right?
Well, right. So when I was over by the Hall Ambulance Service, there were those police cars that were out there to block off the streets, and a couple of people tried to get out there before the procession came through, and they stopped everything. And so they wanted to make sure that this man was honored the right way, and that procession could come through, come past the Hall Ambulance Service, and really show what he did mean here to Bakersfield and Kern County.
The giant flag there in downtown Bakersfield. Scott Sheehan, thanks so much for that update. We'll check back with you in just a few minutes. And our live crews are all throughout that area now. We've, of course, brought you that procession live on 23 ABC News Now. We're going to gear up for that ceremony that takes place at 10 a.m., but our crew's still out and around.
And we'll still be on our digital. We'll keep it on our digital platforms, but for those of you that want to watch it on television, we will be on air beginning at 10 a.m.
All right, 23 ABC Story Cooper has been with us, getting several interviews, talking to people. We heard last from Dick Taylor and others in our community. Tori, just as people flow into Rabobank Arena, I'm sure lots of stories, and I see you're with, I think I know this familiar face.
Nazar Cooner is the familiar face you may be looking at. He told me that Mr. Hall left his imprint on the Sikh community as well. So I figured we'd have him here right now to share his impact that he knows that Mr. Hall left. So go ahead, Mr. Cooner, tell me.
Mayor Harvey Hall brought Sikh community in public eyes. We were very closed-door community. 20 years ago, he came. And he helped us after September 11 when we were blamed with the bad people. He had convention here in the same community hall to reduce the hate in the community. He went 2 times to India, and I know he met downtrodden people in the village, teenagers playing in mud water. He hugged them, gave them money, and those people asked me when he's coming back to India. They're still waiting over there. I think God lives with everybody. Somehow he chooses more to live in Harvey Hall, more than other people. He was a great personality. We miss him.
All right, well, thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, that's incredible. He really was not just here in Bakersfield, he was everywhere. And people remember him, and like you said, people are still waiting for him in India. So, I mean, his impact is far and wide, and thank you so much for sharing. Anything else you would want to say?
I went to Kern County dump other day to throw trash, and I met a guy named Roy. He had tears in his eyes. He said, Mr. Cooner, I want to go Saturday, attend his program, but I don't have off. He was crying. He was crying.
And so when you heard the news, you know, he left such a legacy here. What was that for you and everyone in the Sikh community?
Everybody was shocked. Nobody believed. Nobody thought it is true. Mayor Harvey Hall cannot leave us. He can't.
So even though his time as mayor may have finished out, was he still in touch with the Sikh community after his term?
Yes. He loved minority groups. He loved the human being. That's why he crossed all the barriers. He hugged everybody. He never cared what dress he has. He had always arms like this. Hug.
Yeah, it's someone was just telling me about they're going to miss his hugs. And he really wrapped his arms around the entire community, including the Sikh community. No one was below anyone. And I've also been told he just had a level of respect for everyone.
His mission was unity in the community.
I've heard that.
And we need that in America. All together. Make this country great.
And we'll be able to share these stories about Mr. Hall for time and time and time again.
He will live forever. He did not leave. He left in a body, but his soul is still here. We miss him.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And those were really kind words, and I'm sure they resonated with just about everyone at home. So thank you so much. All right, and with that, we'll send it back to you, Tim and Faven.
I was particularly struck. I never knew his trips to India. He made that trip, and just to be able to see the impact that the Sikh community had here and there. That gentleman saying, God is in everyone, but God was especially in Harvey
Almost
Hall.
brought us to tears. My favorite author, Paulo Coelho, one of his quotes is, when you get to heaven, God's going to ask you one question, and that's, how much did you love?
Right.
And clearly, we know that Harvey Hall loved a lot.
Yep, and he wasn't afraid to get meet anyone, right? And that gentleman from the Sikh community really puts it in perspective. After 9/11, there was so much hate and so much misguided hate towards the Sikh population and those individuals. And Mr. Hall held that ceremony at Rabobank Arena to tell people this is wrong, and these are not the people that this hate should be geared towards. And that really spearheaded and started his love with the Sikh community, and that manifested itself into those Sikh parades he would take part in, into giving back to the different events the Sikh Riders of America that would come and has a chapter here in Kern County. He would be part of those events and really put in action what he lived out, his faith and his commitment to people. It's just in that testimony right there. It's still alive.
Yeah, absolutely. Great words from Mr. Kumar there. So now you're taking a live look outside of the Rabobank, where we're seeing this humongous flag flying there, along with the Bakersfield City fire truck that has their ladders up, and I believe it's Bakersfield City and maybe Kern.
Yeah, both. We saw the Kern County fire crews were in that procession as well. Quick programming note here for you as you're joining us here live on Facebook and our digital platforms. 10 a.m. is when that ceremony is going to begin. We're going to flip over back to 23 ABC on air, so you can watch that live. We'll also have it streaming for you as well. But we're going to bring that to you live. It's supposed to be about an hour from 10 to 11, but knowing how many stories will be told and how many people have to say, it could go a little longer than 1 hour, as we heard there from so many people, so many different facets, from elected officials, of course, Mayor Karen Go, to the veterans community, to the Sikh community, so many people coming together that Mayor Hall just impacted.
Absolutely. And while many people around Kern County know Harvey Hall as the former mayor of Bakersfield, he made a name for himself through his business, Hall Ambulance.
Yep. And of course, we were talking earlier, we're going to show the Made in Kern County we did with Hall Ambulance. It was just a year ago that I sat down with Harvey Hall and really talked about his business. It was actually the first time, and I was struck by this, the first time he ever let a media crew inside of his office. So you heard from Harvey Hall a lot of times at City Hall, at the City Hall, City of Bakersfield, in that conference room where he held those press conferences. But he never allowed people into that office, and so I was particularly honored to be sitting there with him, and we shared stories after our shoot, really about the impact that he had and the reason why he loved this community. He had the Christmas parade stuff on display there. He had all his sports memorabilia, the tribute to his dogs. He had 3 dogs before he passed, and so
love those dogs.
Yeah, he did. He took pictures with them and posted it. Loved sharing the stories about him. So we want to look back at that Made in Kern County that we did just about a year ago and really dive into the story that really spearheaded his love for Kern County and Bakersfield. He's one of the most recognizable faces in town, Bakersfield's longest-serving mayor. Before he was sworn in, though, to serve the residents of Bakersfield and Kern County, he was serving them in a different way, giving back and helping residents in their desperate time of need. And it all began here in downtown Bakersfield at Hall Ambulance.
The year was 1960. Harvey Hall, returning from school in San Francisco, taking a job at Mercy Hospital, where a friend of his, who was an ambulance driver, asked Hall if he'd ever consider the job, later daring Hall to go on a ride-along to test the waters. The very next day, Hall applying for a job as an ambulance driver, spending the next 10 years in the business. But Hall says it was during that time he realized there was a better way to serve those in need of medical care.
It was always my goal to be able to provide the best ambulance service for the city I could.
So in 1971, and with a $15,000 loan, Harvey Hall started Hall Ambulance Service. Hall's vision for the company, focusing on taking care of people with the highest standard and the best possible service. And that started, he says, with changing the look and feel of ambulances in Bakersfield.
And when I started, all ambulances in Kern County were painted white. And the names of the companies were on 3 doors in different colors for the company. Well, I thought, if I'm going to create a brand, then I got to do something significant. So that's how I came to Omaha Orange and White, and that's the way we've carried it all the way through.
Hall also requiring his employees to wear proper uniforms, keep units spotless, and deliver a level of care and compassion not seen at the time in the industry.
As I built my ambulance career, now it's 57 years that I've been in the business, you know, I only know it one way, and that is to make every day better than the day before.
In the 70s and 80s, Hall Ambulance Company gaining the trust of first responders all up and down the valley.
The medical community just wrapped its arms around me and made it possible for me to continue to grow.
By 1980, Hall Ambulance serving Bakersfield, Arvin, Lamont, Fraser Park, and Tehachapi.
There's so much wonderful history here.
Today, Hall Ambulance serves more than 90% of the county, adding helicopter services with Hall's medevac and critical care transport units within the last 10 years.
There's nearly 800,000 people that live in Kern County now. Well, these people dispatch for 800,000 people if they have a medical need.
Responding to more than 100,000 calls, all handled through Hall's state-of-the-art dispatch center.
And when you're dealing with patient lives, you have to make sure that the call is taken and it's dispatched effectively and efficiently with speed.
The newest technology and highly skilled dispatchers allowing paramedic units to respond to critical incidents, in some cases in less than a minute, a process Hall remains closely connected to even after more than 50 years in the business.
There are times when they'll advise me of mass casualty incidents, and I like to come down here and just sit and observe and listen to what they're doing to make sure that we're in sync and we're making sure we've got plenty of ambulances on scene, that sort of thing.
It's that commitment to the business of caring for others that has kept Hall doing what he loves in the city he loves.
Always been about serving people
for all these years.
And caring for people and caring for the less fortunate families in our community.
A legacy of giving back that started right here in Kern County.
We were talking about that office shot, you know, sitting behind that desk. It was pretty cool to be in there. And we saw the dogs behind him. He
loved
loved
those dogs.
3 dogs. In the official statement from the family, they said when he passed away, he was surrounded by his family and friends, and also his 3 dogs.
3 dogs. They made sure to mention that because that was so important to him. All right, we're going to check back in with 23 ABC's Tori Cooper, who's live outside of the Robert Bank Arena, where the celebration of his life is set to begin in just about 20 minutes. Hi, Tori.
Tim and Faven, as I stand outside here at the Rabobank, I'm continuing to learn all of the different facets of life that Harvey Hall really did touch. And I'm joined here live with Scotty, who is a member of our community, and he said that Harvey really touched the disabled community and played a special role in his life and his country music singing career. So Scotty, tell me a little bit about that.
He was always a big part of, you know, my country music career. I would, when I didn't think I could do it, he was one of the people, just one of the many people that's pushed me to go as far as I have. And he was also, I wrote a book called Riding the Pink Cadillac, and he was the first person to order online, to order my book. So just an amazing man to this community.
Wow. And so are you going to miss seeing him in the stands at your shows?
Yes, we're going to miss him all over Bakersfield, and his memory in Bakersfield will live on forever.
Well, thank you so much, Scotty, for sharing that. Is there anything else you would like to say about Mr. Hall and you want people at home to know that maybe they don't already know about him?
He was just a really generous man. If you see his family out in the community, stop and say hi, check on them, make sure they're doing okay, because he was a big part of this community.
Awesome. Well, I hope that today is a sense of closure for you as well. I'm telling just about everyone who I spoke to the same thing because I know that this is a difficult time for many. But thank you so much, Scotty. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much. Yeah. All right. And with that, we'll send it back to you, Faven and Tim.
All right. Thanks so much for that, Tori. We hear from Scotty Crabtree. You hear he likes to go to the Crystal Palace a lot and sings there, and you hear Harvey Hall purchased his first album. Scotty's first album purchase was from Mr. Hall. It's pretty cool to see.
It's a testament of how committed he was to any and everyone in our community. Yeah. We want to check back inside the Rabobank Arena where this celebration of life is set to begin in less than 15 minutes. We hear that Congressman Kevin McCarthy has made his way inside, and I love that it's colorful in there.
First time we've been able to see that wide shot. We were looking throughout the morning with you since 8 a.m. essentially at the shot of the old paramedic unit, but now we've been able to widen the shot out and show you. You can see here just exactly how this is going to look. You can see, and we were told by our crews we weren't able to shoot it yesterday, but now we can see kind of from this wide angle there are several of his suits, the iconic suits, that pink color, the yellow, all on display there at that stage.
So I remember seeing him in the burgundy one that we see there. It's like third to the right, right there. His Cadillac matches that suit to the T. And I remember telling him, I am beyond impressed. I asked him, did you get the car to match the suit or the suit to match the car?
And I'm sure it was for, he would rock those in the Bakersfield Christmas Parade and really, man, it was just so cool. We were just being told from our crews on scene that Congressman Kevin McCarthy is there. Just one of the several hundreds of dignitaries that are coming to pay tribute to this. You know, I remember when Kevin McCarthy was getting his start in politics, you would see him at events with Harvey Hall. They would be at fundraisers together. And, you talk about people's legacy and the impact they make, the example they set. You look at a guy like Congressman McCarthy, and you can only probably imagine if you were to ask Congressman McCarthy, who was your example in the community? Who was really modeling the way in terms of how you decided to engage in the community? And I would imagine Congressman McCarthy would say it was Harvey Hall who really showed elected officials what it is to be part of the community. Now we see Congressman McCarthy at events every time he's back in the district, from League of Dreams to fundraisers to the basketball games at CACB. So it's really good to see everyone come together.
Yeah, and like Congressman McCarthy, I think, why we just love Harvey Hall so much is that you really felt the sincerity in everything that he did, that it wasn't just for show. It wasn't something that he did because he had to do it. It was something that he genuinely wanted to do, and he made the community feel that way. He made us feel so special. Yeah, and you can see just how special that is. This is going to be a packed house. Seating for several hundred, or if not more than 1,000, inside Rabobank Arena, where you can see the stage. This is the bottom part of Rabobank Arena has been transformed into that ceremony, and is about to get underway here in just about 15 minutes. 23 ABC's Alicia Patillo has been inside Rabobank Arena. Alicia, you've been talking to several people, including Bakersfield Police Chief Lyle Martin, who's going to be taking part in the ceremony as well.
That's right. Bakersfield Police Chief Lyle Martin told me that he would like to keep Harvey Hall's legacy going by spreading happiness, positivity, and love. And I'm joined with Jackie Sullivan from City Council. Jackie, how are you this morning? What's going through your thoughts right now? I know that you're sitting on the floor with all of Harvey Hall's family and friends. How are you feeling this morning?
Well, very obviously we are all here in the spirit of honoring our Mayor Harvey Hall. He's basically unreplaceable. His whole everything was unity in the community. That was his motto when he first started running as mayor, but he had that in his heart, and everything he did was just strongly about unity and loving and including everyone.
And that's exactly what Chief Lyle Martin told me. Now, what was your personal relationship with Harvey Hall?
Well, I was elected in 1995, so I was on the council when he first came on after being elected in year 2000. So he was just from the very beginning. He was the mayor, and he loved it. He was just honored to be the mayor of Bakersfield. And everything that he did, he wanted to represent us well, which he certainly did. I mean, he looked the part, he acted the part, he lived the part. And, he just set the bar very high which is wonderful. We have a wonderful mayor now, but Harvey Hall, Mayor Harvey Hall, and he loved it.
Okay. Any last thoughts that you want to leave the community of Bakersfield to keep their spirits up and keep that momentum going?
Well, you know, we always do carry on, but yet how wonderful to be a mayor that will never be duplicated, never be forgotten, and that is Harvey Hall. So, and not Harvey, Mayor Hall.
Yeah.
Mayor Hall. He corrected me a couple of times because I've known him for years and he was Harvey. But I had to learn that, friend or not, he was Mayor Hall, Mayor Harvey Hall.
Okay.
So that's good.
Thank you so much, Jackie. I'm going to get you back to your seat on the floor. All right, guys, this ceremony starts at 10 a.m., and I'll continue to be inside, and we'll continue to be live with coverage of this. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity for us to bring you this coverage live and take you all inside of this celebration of life for Mayor Harvey Hall. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, yeah, I remember the time she was on the council, and then he became the mayor, and really that unity in the community began back then.
And we see it, and that legacy will continue to live on, I'm sure. Let's send things now to 23 ABC's Tori Cooper, also live outside the Rabobank Arena. Tori, what's the mood out there?
Tim and Faven, the mood is definitely everyone wants to get inside. No one wants to be late. Harvey Hall was never late. And I'm joined here live with one of his close friends and colleagues, Chancellor of Kern Community College District, Tom Burke, who's going to share us a few words today.
Yes, Harvey was on the Board of Trustees from 1996 to 2000. He provided tremendous leadership for our district during that period of time, as well as providing leadership with the passage of two major local bonds that have benefited the district tremendously and will benefit the district tremendously going into the future. Harvey was a major factor in the passage of Measure J, which passed in 2016. Harvey loved Bakersfield College. He was instrumental in working with us in developing the Emergency Medical Technician Academy, which has just graduated one of their largest classes. And he has had a tremendous effect on the Kern Community College District and Bakersfield College.
Wow. So that facet that you just talked about on Bakersfield College, so how many people did you guys graduate just the other day probably?
It was about 35, which was a significantly one of the largest classes that they have ever had.
Did any of them get a chance to work with Harvey Hall?
I believe so.
Awesome. Anything else you would like to say?
Just that Harvey will be greatly missed. He was a great leader for Bakersfield and a great leader for the Kern Community College District.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tom. I really appreciate it. And with that, we'll send it back to you, Tim and Faven.
Tori, thanks so much for that. We talked earlier about the impact of the education community as well, and he really believed that, and that was part of the scholarship fund he created, donating his mayor's salary so local students could get those scholarships year after year.
And we're talking over $250,000 in financial aid to nearly 300 students, and they loved him a lot out at CSUB as well. You'd catch him courtside at all of the basketball games. He'll definitely be missed there. And last May, he was awarded the Honorary Doctor of Humanities Letters, a degree for his distinction in his chosen field of endeavor. So he'll definitely be missed.
The education community certainly remembers that.
I mean, every community, if you think about it.
And you're looking live now inside Rabobank Arena, as we can see now a steady stream of those blue and white uniforms. Those are the Hall Ambulance employees now filling in their seats. We heard just a moment ago from Jackie Sullivan on the City Council, of course, with Mr. Hall for so many years, coming out to speak with us, remembering her time there. Just one of hundreds of people in this seating of this Rabobank Arena that are going to be listening to stories, hearing about those who knew him best, sharing stories. There's going to be video tributes to Mr. Hall. You see there on that large screen behind that stage. We were asked by the family not to reveal just who is speaking, but I can tell you where they come from is certainly fitting to Mr. Hall's legacy. We're talking about people from the sports community, the law enforcement community, first responders, the faith community, as well as the police department. It's really a joining of forces to pay tribute to this man. You can see there that stadium's filling up.
Yeah. And we talk so much about his public life, but we also want to, give our condolences to his family and really thank them for sharing him with us. I don't think that, many people think about how much it feels like we had him more than they did half the time. So, his wife of 28 years, LaVon, their daughter, Amy, the granddaughter, and mother-in-law, Libby. So we really want to send our condolences to them as well. A lot of times it's the weeks after, it's the months after when things, kind of cool down and settle down. But we definitely are going to keep them in our prayers.
You make an interesting point about essentially the family member who's on so many different areas, and just how Mr. Hall would be so active, and he the family time. He said the big reason why he was stepping away from his day-to-day operations, he wanted to spend more time with his family. So yeah, it's nice to say thank you to his family for giving him to us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sure we'll be seeing them there as well. We haven't heard from them, but rightfully so. We definitely want to give them their privacy and respect their privacy, as this is definitely a difficult time for them.
All right, so we want to head back out to our live crews. 23 ABC Scott Sheehan has been making his way across the street from Rabobank Arena. And Scott, you have an individual here with you, I'm sure, sharing stories about Mr. Hall.
Right, that's right, Tim. So I have Mark Sandell. He spent a lot of time with the former mayor, especially doing veteran things. I wanted to talk with you a little bit about those memories that you did have and the colorful shirt that you're wearing.
Well, the shirt is in honor of Mayor Hall because he was a colorful guy, and I didn't want to wear a white shirt today. I wanted to wear something to kind of commemorate him and his colorful legacy. So I wear this little Aloha shirt with little different colors on it. So, and speaking of the ceremonies, we did a Pledge of Allegiance ceremony one year, piggyback Flag Day on June 14th, and the Army's birthday. And we asked the mayor if he'd like to come down and attend. Little did I know, it was going to be 110 degrees out. It was in front of the courthouse, and there wasn't anybody sitting in the middle chairs out front. They were all under the eaves of the courthouse, and he stood there, legs crossed, cool as a cucumber, and has proclamation in his hand. And I'll never forget that. He was cool under pressure and a cool mayor, and he was there for everybody, not only the veterans in our organizations, but for everybody.
All right, well, we don't want to delay you getting in there. It's going to start up pretty soon. Tim, we're going to send it back to you.
All right, Scott, thanks so much for that. Cool as a cucumber. Yeah. It really was. He had that consistency, on time, but he was there. He was steady. If you heard from Mr. Hall, he's going to be at your event. He was at your event.
Absolutely. On time, with a smile, great handshakes. You talked about his handshakes earlier, and just such a huge guy, but even bigger heart.
Yeah. 23 ABC's Tori Cooper is live outside Rabobank Arena. Tori, we've been hearing from you all morning, talking to people who knew him best, and joining you now live.
That's exactly right, Tim. And several of those people are continuing to file right into the Rabobank Arena. And this gentleman, Gregory Tatum, who's a pastor, also came up to me and said, you know what, I would really like to share one of my memories with Mr. Hall. So I'm going to toss it over to Gregory right now.
Yes, I'm Pastor Gregory Tatum, Change Community Church. I got a chance to meet Mayor Harvey Hall in 2016 when I was running for the mayor of Bakersfield. And we had a private meeting in his office, and he told me, always take the high road. And I'm taking his advice. He said stay away from controversy, and he is an icon to our community. His legacy will live forever, and I would treasure those words he shared with me in 2016.
And so that advice, has it helped you so far?
Most definitely. This year I'm running for a Senate for the 16th District, so next Tuesday it may prove to be something worthwhile that he shared with me, as I run for the 16th District.
Awesome. Well, good luck with everything, and I hope that everything works out for you today and that you have all the support around you. Thank you so much, Gregory.
Thank
and
you.
With that, we will send it back to you, Tim and Faven.
All right, Tori, thanks so much for that. We want to take you back live now. We've been hearing from so many people attending this. The VIPs, we're being told, are now making their way inside. Rabobank Arena is filling up, as you can see there, in just about 4 to 5 minutes. Again, Mr. Hall wanted this on time. He was punctual, so we're going to be joining you on 23 ABC for this live ceremony, celebration of life for Mr. Hall.
And we've been hearing, great stories from our different live interviews from the reporters that are out there this morning, and you can only imagine the stories that we're going to hear at this celebration of life. It's only going to get better. Up on the stage there, you see some of his iconic suits, very colorful. The pink, the yellow, the burgundy there that matches that burgundy Cadillac. You might see him driving around town.
Yeah, and those two vans too as well. You got the old and the new. That was really symbolic for the legacy that Hall Ambulance left behind, the decades of service from 1971. That old paramedic unit, the first in Kern County, onto the right, and then of course their brand new units who he was so proud of in speaking to him about unveiling those. It was top of the notch technology. It was really those ambulance units were equipped to help his paramedics give the best service to people in their most critical time of need, and it's almost fitting that they were able to get those new ambulances in prior to his death, because I'm sure he was able to see the launch of that and to know that he's put the people in Kern County in good hands long after he's gone.
Absolutely, and his wife LaVon will be taking over all the day-to-day operations of Hall Ambulance, so you can rest assured that it's in good hands.
Yep, and as we mentioned here, we're going to be with you for about another minute here on 23 ABC, our digital platforms, and then at 10 a.m. we're going to join you on 23 ABC as we bring you this procession live in its entirety, right from Rabobank Arena, where we're expecting it to be about an hour. We're going to expect it to start on time. Perhaps it may go longer if people are sharing great stories about Mr. Hall. There's several video tributes. There's going to be, of course, the way these processions or these ceremonies begin with a presentation of colors, the national anthem, a prayer from a local pastor, and then we're going to start to hear from several people in the community just about the life and legacy of Mr. Hall.
That's right. I'm looking forward myself to hearing some of these stories and maybe getting a look into his personal life, because he was very public, but you know, he kept his private life private.
Yes, and as we do take you back outside, we have a live picture, I believe, of just what has really the tributes have started to pour in for Mr. Hall around Rabobank. And we're going to join you on 23 ABC as our celebration of life for Mr. Hall continues in just a few moments. Stay with us. And good morning. Thanks for joining us here on a special edition of 23 ABC News at 10 a.m. as you are looking live inside Rabobank Arena, where in just moments, the community of Bakersfield paying tribute to the longest-serving mayor, Mayor Harvey Hall.
That's right. And as you can see, Rabobank is filled up with people, not only family, friends, colleagues, but you see some EMTs there. We're going to let you take a listen inside.
As this is beginning right now.
Presentation of colors by the Bakersfield Police Department and Bakersfield Fire Department Joint Honor Guard.
The code he would wear this.
All right, you're looking live now. Here as this ceremony is getting underway, the presentation of colors. You can see there the honor guard from Bakersfield Police Department as well as the Bakersfield Fire Department. It's a joint honor guard as you see them setting up the flags there. This will be immediately followed by the national anthem right after that as you're looking live right now inside Rabobank Arena.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched was so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And you just saw California Highway Patrol Officer Robert Rodriguez singing the national anthem there. And you're looking at the Bakersfield Police Department and Bakersfield Fire Department Joint Honor Guard. The presentation of the colors there. Up there on the stage you can see all of his very iconic suits, former Mayor Harvey Hall's iconic suits. To the left of the stage is one of the original Hall ambulances, and on the right, one of the newest. And it looks like that might be the sleigh from the Bakersfield Christmas Parade that Harvey Hall brought back after several years of its hiatus.
Of Harvey L. Hall. Our Heavenly Father, we come before you to celebrate the life of Harvey L. Hall with mixed emotions. We come before you with gratitude, Father, because we had the privilege of knowing the man. There might be a few people here today who knew him outside of the family simply as Harvey. More likely, though, more of us, perhaps most of us, knew him as Mr. Hall, some even as Dr. Hall, but all of us knew him as Mayor Hall, and he was a great one. And it is because of the way in which we knew him, Heavenly Father, that we also come before you today celebrating his life with a level of grief. Grief due probably, and at least in some part, because of the sudden and quick way in which you took him. Many of us here today did not know that he was seriously ill until just weeks, perhaps even days, before he was gone from us. And so in whatever way we knew him, we experienced grief. And because we come together, Father, with joy and gratefulness and grief, we also come before you in the need of comfort. The Bible tells us that you are the God of all comfort. You are the Father of all comfort, that you comfort us in our losses and in our pains. But you do more than that, Father. You comfort us in circumstances like these so that we might comfort others. And that's what we pray for today with this celebration of Harvey L. Hall's life, that everything that is said and done here today will comfort one another. We all need the comfort that can only come from you, but we can experience a certain level of comfort that comes from one another. We pray for this service, Father, that Harvey Hall would be very pleased with it, but most of all, that you would be pleased with it. And we pray this in the name of your only begotten Son, our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. You may be seated.
Levon, Amy, Skylar, our deepest condolences for your loss. We can't imagine the grief and the sadness, that we can only pray to our Lord that someday, soon, that heaviness will be removed from your heart and it will be replaced with good memories. I had the opportunity to know Mayor Hall. He was a remarkable man. He loved his Bakersfield, and his Bakersfield loved him. No event was unimportant. No meeting was unimportant. He cared about everyone. The countless times that Mayor Hall would be at Head Start school sites and read to the little children, and this smile on his face, and the happiness that it brought him and everyone else. We will remember him as the great man that he was. And we know at the gates of heaven stands St. Peter with the book of life. And there's Harvey. And he says, Mayor Hall from Bakersfield. And St. Peter says to him, we know who you are. We've been expecting you. I've been asked to share some words of Monsignor Craig Harrison of St. Francis Parish. Unfortunately, he can't be here. He's in Rome today. But he messaged my wife Beverly just a few minutes ago that he's at the Vatican saying a Mass for Mayor Hall. That below the main floor in the Vatican is a room that contains the tombs of the most significant popes in the Catholic faith. He is at the tomb of St. Peter, our first pope. His words are, I want to thank Levon, Amy, and Skylar for inviting me to share a few words. I was blessed to know Mayor Hall both professionally and personally. As a Catholic priest, I respected Harvey's love for all faith traditions. He was as comfortable at a Catholic Mass as he was at a Baptist prayer service or a Sikh celebration. I will never forget his loving compassion to my parents when they were both sick. He would visit my father, who he knew from Bakersfield High School. Harvey had driller blue in his veins. He knew Jesus was a driller. So was Father Craig, by the way. Harvey was a great personal support to me at this most difficult time. A few days before Harvey passed, Levon called me and asked me to visit him. I prayed over him, and I personally witnessed Harvey's greatest success, his marriage to Levon, his daughter, and his granddaughter. Skylar, be careful. because your grandfather can see everything you do. And believe me, he will be watching. As we all know, Harvey was the best dressed man in all of Bakersfield. I loved all his color. I once asked him to write the Pope and ask him to change our priestly attire from black. I wouldn't be surprised if he did it at all. And finally, the Catholic community prays with you today, as I do in Rome, and we celebrate a man who made a difference. Today, I believe God takes Harvey's hand and says, "Well done, my good and faithful servant. Come and share your master's reward."
Good morning. My name is Corey Costello. I was for 14 years the voice of Roadrunners basketball. And for 14 years next to my wife, I think Mayor Hall was probably my biggest fan. He told me one time, he said, "You know, man," and when he liked you, he called you man. "You know, man, when your team's on the road, I don't like watching you guys on TV," he said, "because I want to listen to you. I like your passion." And I think that was sort of the common goal and the common thread that we had was our passion for our work. And we're going to talk a lot about his passion today and in various facets of his life. But he was one of the men that definitely wore his passion on his sleeve. And as Jim pointed out, arguably and probably unarguably the best dressed man we'll ever know. And he, towards the end of my career at CSUB, one of the last memories I had with him was a home game, and I went and bought a new sports coat, and it was kind of Harvey Hall inspired. It was white, had some tan and brown sort of lines running in a pattern. And of course, when I wore it to the game that day, most of my coworkers kind of chuckled, and a few of them even said, "What, are you trying to dress like Harvey Hall?" And I said, "Well, he's not mayor anymore, so I guess somebody's got to carry that torch." Well, he always sat on the same side as I did at the Icardo Center for my broadcast location, and we were just getting ready for the pregame show, and this familiar hand sort of grabs my shoulder and sort of spins me around. And I'm looking up at Mayor Hall, and he says, "Nice jacket, man." And I said, "I'm trying to dress like you. Do you like it?" And he goes, "I love it." Kind of gave that familiar Harvey Hall chuckle and walked away. And so I went around to everybody who had made a comment to me before the game about the jacket, and I said, "By the way, Harvey Hall loves this jacket." So it was that sort of passion and that sort of colorful passion that we are going to celebrate here today as we celebrate the life of Harvey L. Hall. Thank you.
After building a successful business, Harvey started to focus his attention on other ways to positively impact the community. His first venture into the political arena started with being elected trustee of Area 3 of the Kern Community College District on November 6, 1996. The following year, Governor Pete Wilson appointed Harvey as director of the Kern County Fair Board. All of this was certainly gratifying, but Harvey was yearning to make an even bigger impact on the city that had been so good to him. On March 30th, 1999, he announced his intentions to run for mayor just outside of this arena on the steps of Centennial Plaza. His concept of unity in our community resonated with the voters, and he victoriously won the March 2000 primary with 62% of the vote in a crowded field of 10 candidates.
Please welcome Gene Tackett.
Sorry I was a little late, but as usual, I was talking to somebody. But this is what Harvey wanted us to wear to Harvey and Lavon's wedding. These are the same Converse. That was only like 5 years ago, right, Lavon? But anyway, it was. This is the same outfit, the same Hawaiian shirt that I wore. So it was appropriate. There were some mannequins up there. And also, if you're not aware, I'm right where Elton John played the piano. And if I remember, we were up there somewhere for one of the first concerts here at the Rabobank for the music that the city of Bakersfield brought. Harvey Hall, Mr. Hall, Mr. Christmas, Mayor Hall, Dr. Harvey Hall, and Grandpa. The names we knew him by. I knew him as Harvey, but I think he liked Grandpa the best. Harvey was a man full of life and with a full life. I am here this morning to share Harvey's elected political life. Together, we could all in this room write a book about Harvey. And to be honest, some of us knew Harvey too well, but today it's all good. Sometimes he was a lot of work. He could make us all so mad, but at the end of the day, you had to love Mayor Hall. He became his better true self when he married Lavon, the third Mrs. Hall. I can say that because it was on her car's license plate. Every elected official needs a lodestar, and Lavon was Harvey's. And she knew how to pick his suits and costumes, which we all loved. I first met Harvey when I was a Kern County supervisor. After 8 years on the board, I retired and became a political consultant. Hall Ambulance Service was one of my first clients in 1987. During our time together, his interest in running for public office grew. He wanted to give back to his customers. That's what he called the riders of his ambulances. Operating an ambulance service is so much like being a public servant, and once in public office, he called the taxpayers his customers. And as we said, working for the ambulance service, you call, we haul. His attitude running an ambulance company was that everyone got excellent service no matter their ability to pay. His attitude as mayor was that everyone deserved excellent service from the city no matter their economic situation. But I'm getting ahead of my story. He had to win an election first. He had been a student at BC, and a lot of Hall Ambulance employees attended BC. He was also a big supporter of Renegade Sports. On his first try for elective office in 1996, he was elected a trustee to the Kern Community College District. 4 years later, in the year 2000, Harvey was elected mayor of Bakersfield in the primary, winning with 62% of the vote. He was elected 3 more times to become the longest-serving mayor in Bakersfield history. It turned out he was as good a candidate and a public official as he was a CEO. His slogan was unity in the community. He ran an independent campaign, not supported by a political party or a political machine. On January 2nd, 2001, during the swearing-in ceremony, the new mayor made this statement: "Our city is one of greatness, and it will be my goal every day to make every day better than the day before, and to try and make this city the best in America." American democracy can be an amazing thing. Sometimes it creates the unexpected. In Mayor Harvey Hall, it created political perfection. An elected official who kept his promises and that we all loved. At the end of his life, he was surrounded by 4 wonderful women who filled his private life with love: Lavon, Amy, Skylar, and Libby. He was the luckiest and the happiest man excuse me, in Bakersfield. Thank you.
Dr. Hall fully understood the enrichment that educational opportunities could bring to one's life. Through his ambulance company, Dr. Hall created the Hall Medical Scholarship in 1999 to assist graduating seniors interested in pursuing a degree in healthcare. Since then, he has awarded $70,000 in tuition assistance to some 280 students. For those interested in starting their careers in emergency medical services, in 2001, Harvey established Hall EMT Academy, where recruits receive a training wage while they prepare in an accelerated format to begin work in the Hall Ambulance 911 system. Just 2 weeks ago, 30 individuals graduated from Class 34, the largest in the program's history. The next generation carrying on Mr. Hall's legacy. For those Hall ambulance EMTs ready to advance their careers, Mr. Hall would sponsor them into the paramedic training program at Bakersfield College, covering their tuition and regular wages throughout their studies. He continued investing in our youth while serving as Bakersfield's 25th mayor, creating the Mayor Hall Scholarship, funded entirely through his mayor's salary. Over 16 years, he awarded $253,000 to 297 students. Harvey's support of academics was equally paralleled by his love and support for local high school and college sports, particularly CSUB athletics and runner basketball. You could always count on Dr. Hall and LaVon to be courtside for the home games, and when the university joined the Western Athletic Conference, they would always join the team in Las Vegas for the annual WAC tournament, and even ran a congratulations ad in the Bakersfield Californian when the men's team became the 2016 WAC champs and secured a trip to the big dance. Each spring, he would look forward to the annual Read Across America event, where he would visit with and read to school children, often dressed as the character from his favorite children's book. During the 2017 spring commencement ceremonies at CSUB, it was finally Harvey's turn to wear a cap and gown and be honored for his own accomplishments when California State University honored him with an honorary Doctor of Humane Letters degree for distinction in his chosen field of endeavor, widely recognized eminence, and demonstrated values consistent with those of higher education.
Please welcome the president of California State University, Bakersfield, Dr. Horace Mitchell.
Good morning. To LaVon, Amy, and Skylar, today we celebrate the life of a truly remarkable man, Dr. Harvey L. Hall. Harvey was the mayor of Bakersfield when I arrived in 2004 to assume the presidency of CSU Bakersfield. He was one of the first people to welcome me to this community, and we developed a friendship immediately. He was one of the speakers at my inauguration in May 2005. Harvey was a very dynamic, engaging, and multi-talented man, a very successful businessman, a civic leader, an elected official, a philanthropist. He was our community's biggest cheerleader, as most of us recognize, and he was also an ambassador to our sister cities. Harvey always displayed a quality that is on the top of my personal list of attributes of effective leaders. That is, he cared about people. Not just some people, but all people in our diverse community. He spent enough time with different cultural groups within the community that he gained a genuine understanding about the multiple worldviews and lived experiences that intersect within our community. He was a caring man who always wanted to achieve, as you've heard before, unity in our community. Harvey was also a champion of education, from reading books to preschoolers to serving as an elected trustee of the Kern Community College District, or a board member of the Bakersfield College Foundation to awarding scholarships. He seemed to be present everywhere, as several have noted. He also was an avid supporter of CSUB and our athletics program, and he was particularly interested in men's basketball. He attended many ribbon cuttings at CSUB, as he did all over town, and I think he always won the prize for having the biggest scissors. He played a key role in our fundraising effort to move our athletics program from Division II to NCAA Division I. He accompanied Kevin McCarthy, Bruce Freeman, and me to Los Angeles to make an ask of Mr. David Murdoch, the owner of Castle and Cook. And what we wanted to ask him for was $1 million. And he hemmed and hawed about that, but Bruce had prepared him for our visit. And so I said, I request a gift from you of $1 million and a challenge gift of another $500,000. And he shared that, well, he was never really into athletics, and he didn't go to college. So what he did understand, though, is what we had said about the need to enhance the quality of the student experience at CSUB, which was a part of our vision statement. And enhancing the quality of the student experience meant that we could grow our enrollment and we could get more resources, and those additional resources could be used to develop additional academic programs. So he said he understood why it was that we were wanting to do this, and he agreed to give us the $1 million, and he decided that he would help us raise the other $1 million. And so he served as the co-chair with Bill Thomas to do that. And so again, Harvey was very, very instrumental in our move to Division I. It was his credibility and the credibility of Kevin McCarthy that made the difference, I believe. I was a relatively new person in the community at that point, but their credibility made a difference, and we're off and running, as you know. Over the years, Harvey received several recognitions from CSUB. The School of Business and Public Administration awarded him the John Brock Community Service Award in 2010. I was pleased to award him the highest honor that as president I could award, and that is a President's Medal in 2014. But in addition to the President's Medal, I always had this sense that Harvey deserved to have an honorary doctorate. But the problem was that the requirement of this, one of the requirements of the CSU Board of Trustees is that we could not, none of the campuses can award an honorary doctorate to an incumbent public official. And Harvey kept getting reelected. So it was only when he decided that he would not run again the last time that we jumped on the opportunity to propose to the Board of Trustees that he be recognized with an honorary doctorate. So in recognition of his lifetime of selfless service, leadership, philanthropy, and his distinguished achievements, which embody the values of California State University Bakersfield, the Board of Trustees of California State University and California State University Bakersfield conferred on Harvey the honorary title, the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters. And so I want us to refer to him as Dr. Hall, with the other addresses that we give, Mr. and Mayor, etc. But I always refer to him after that point as Dr. Hall. We will miss our friend. We share with Levon and Amy and Skylar their sadness and sense of loss with Harvey's passing. At the same time, we join them in celebrating his life, which was rich in energy, compassion, and commitment to his family and community. Today, the CSUB flag on our campus is flying at half-staff in honor of Harvey. And I am pleased to present to Levon at an appropriate time later this morning a picture of the campus flags being at half-staff in his honor. And we do that when members of the campus community pass, and by virtue of his honorary doctorate, Dr. Hall is an alumnus of CSUB, and he'll always be in our thoughts, not only as the mayor of Bakersfield, but also as a runner. Thank you very much.
Mayor Hall dedicated a lifetime of benevolence to the city he adores and its people, while serving 16 years as Bakersfield's 25th mayor. He fostered the concept of unity in our community, disinterested in politics or taking sides. He was a mayor for all of the people. During his tenure, he was eager to help recognize the accomplishments, celebrations, and pride of our diverse population, presenting 1,836 proclamations and 10,750 certificates of recognition. He performed 958 ribbon cuttings with his custom-made, oversized scissors and turned over dirt on 91 groundbreakings. Harvey delivered 981 speeches, extended 469 welcomes, and hosted 452 foreign visitors, and honored our veterans and active duty personnel by participating in 64 events. In 2008, Harvey answered the challenge from President George W. Bush and developed a plan to tackle the challenging issue of homelessness by introducing Home First, Kern County's plan to end chronic homelessness. Concerned about the cleanliness and first impression of motorists traveling through Bakersfield, Harvey started the Mayor Hall Freeway Litter Cleanup Program, where for 13 years he personally led residents early on Saturday mornings, picking up litter along on and off ramps running through our city. He was instrumental in creating the city's Keep Bakersfield Beautiful Committee and spearheaded the local Great American Cleanup. Even after his term as mayor concluded, Harvey remained committed to a litter-free community by funding the Downtown Bakersfield Street Ambassadors Program. Harvey's humanitarianism stretched across our borders by fostering sister city relationships with Querétaro, Mexico, Busan, Republic of Korea, and Amritsar, India. To honor his legacy, City Manager Alan Tandy inducted Mayor Hall into the City of Bakersfield's Hall of Fame on his birthday, January 5th of this year, here on the concourse level of the Rabobank Arena. Humbled, Mayor Hall spent the majority of time during his remarks going through the crowd, calling each individual by name and thanking them for their longtime support and friendship.
Please welcome Chief Lyle Martin of the Bakersfield Police Department.
Levon, Amy, Skylar, Libby, let me start by saying thank you. On behalf of the city of Bakersfield, thank you. You shared a great man with us, and we are grateful. I'm completely humbled to be able to speak on behalf of the city about the 25th mayor of our city, a mentor and a friend. So where do I start? Well, opposites attract. Because with Harvey, you always knew exactly what he was going to say, and his staff knew exactly what he was going to say. With me, you never know what I'm going to say, and my staff is shaking in their boots right now because they have no idea what I'm going to say. This is a celebration, and Harvey would be upset if I didn't make you laugh and enjoy yourselves. This celebration, so I start with my struggle with what to wear. Well, not really a struggle. I was not about to wear a suit.
Let's face it, there's nothing in my closet that would honor the mayor. Because as he once told the media, hell, the mayor is the mayor, man. Mayor Hall served as the mayor of Bakersfield from 2001 to 2016. Unity in the community was embraced. In 2001, I was a sergeant with the Bakersfield Police Department and had very few contacts with Mayor Hall, but I watched. And in 2002, I reached out to him. Being a kid from Southeast Bakersfield, a native, and knowing what my city had been about up to that point, I wanted to walk in and tell him that I appreciated the leadership that he had taken, and I knew that we were going for great things. And he looked at me and he said, "You know, young man, have you ever thought about being the chief of police?" And I said, "No, I just want to serve, do well for my family, and coach." He said, "Yeah, I'll talk to you about that later." The video is only a brief look at his accomplishments. His hero sheet also includes honorary board member with the Police Activities League, which I'll come back to, Homeless Collaborative, Boys and Girls Club, Downtown Business Association, Kern County Law Enforcement Foundation, and the list goes on and on. But the Bakersfield Police Activities League is something that is near and dear to my heart. So as anybody who runs a nonprofit can tell you, we were struggling with finances. But Harvey came to us and said, "You guys are doing great work here." So he got together with Mr. Burke and Mr. Watson, and they paid off our mortgage. And we on the board knew then that we could not fail them. We had to grow. We had to take care of the children in this community because it's what Harvey would want. Those are just a few things that the mayor was involved in, but two words came to mind when I thought about what I was going to say. One of them you've heard already, so I think somebody read my notes. But I think Mayor Hall, when I think of Mayor Hall, it's passion and precision. The things I will remember about my mentor and friend are his strong shoulders and investment in others. I mean, you got to have passion and strong shoulders to perform all those ribbon cuttings with them big-ass scissors. And how many groundbreakings with that gold shovel, you know what I'm saying? I mean, Harvey's the man. And he and I share a pride in Bakersfield's diverse community. The sister-city relationship that was highlighted in the video is just a little evidence to his commitment. But I'm telling you, as an African-American male from Southeast Bakersfield, what I saw in 2001 and what I see today, oh my God, I am so proud of this city. And he had the vision to do that. My wife Connie and I spent many Saturdays with him and John Enriquez. I saw John out here on Highway 99, wondering if we were going to get killed. Looking at irrigation and trees with the mayor freeway cleanups. And he was instrumental in getting my family involved with Keep Bakersfield Beautiful and the local Great American Cleanup. He received the award from the Iron Eyes Cody Award, which honors outstanding male volunteers for exceptional leadership with at least 10 years of experience helping his local community. Mayor Hall's passion led him to be honored and the recipient of that from Keep America Beautiful. Now, when I was appointed chief, one of the first passionate calls I received was from Harvey, not Mayor Hall, from Harvey. And I thought he was calling me to congratulate me. No. He had me come over to the mayor's office. He closed the door, and with that authoritative voice of his, he said, "Take this opportunity and let the world know who the chief of Bakersfield is, man." You knew exactly what he meant if he ended that sentence with man. He loved this city, and he loved me. Anybody who coordinated, invited, or attended an event with the mayor knows he is punctual. He presided over city council meetings, delivered over 900 speeches, extended many welcomes, hosted over 400 foreign visitors, and participated in over 60 military events with military precision. Precision. Did I mention I was told to keep this to 3 to 5 minutes and not to criticize or impugn anyone while I'm up here? We will be done by 11, Harvey. I know you're watching. I was out of town on his birthday this year, and I called him to say happy birthday and to congratulate him into his induction to the City of Bakersfield's Hall of Fame right here in Rabobank Arena. Well, he answered the phone the way he and I always did if we knew it was the other one on the line. So he answered the phone, "What the hell you want?" I said, "I didn't even know we had a Hall of Fame, man. Are you working on a proclamation to rename it the Hall of Fame?" And we both laughed. Rest in peace, my friend, and yes, you are correct. Hell, the mayor is the mayor, man. Thank you.
Professionally, Harvey Hall was respected in the ambulance industry as a pioneer of modern emergency medical services in California. A dare to go on a ride-along in 1960 piqued Harvey's interest in becoming an ambulance driver and sparked what would culminate in a 58-year career of caring for those in need. Mr. Hall quickly moved up the ranks to manager at Flint Ambulance. An article from the Bakersfield Californian in 1967 covered the life-saving efforts of the 26-year-old who performed mouth-to-mouth resuscitation for 40 minutes in an attempt to save a 3-year-old child severely injured in a car accident. When asked how he felt after transporting the child to the hospital, he said, "It is my duty to perform to the greatest of my ability. I am dedicated to the ambulance industry, towards the upgrading of the profession and being able to preserve lives." With a vision to build the best ambulance company in America, on February 10, 1971, with a $15,000 bank loan, 2 ambulances, and his personal residence serving as headquarters, Hall Ambulance Service Incorporated began answering the call. It was in those early years that Harvey Hall developed an exacting list of standards now known as the Hall Way that are followed 47 years later. His reputation for providing 5-star ambulance service resulted in surrounding communities approaching Harvey to bring his standard of care to their communities. His first expansion was to Arvin in March of 1975, followed by Lamont in June of 1976. He worked with Mountain Memories to provide reliable ambulance service to Fraser Park starting in July of 1978, the Tehachapi Healthcare District in October 1979. In January 1994, the East Kern communities of Mojave, California City, Rosemont, and Boron were suddenly left without ambulance service. Contacted by the county, Mr. Hall dispatched several ambulances, all responding Code 3, to quickly reestablish service to our desert communities. The areas were awarded to Hall Ambulance in May of 1994. The next 2 acquisitions occurred when close friends who ran ambulance companies in Taft and Shafter decided to retire. Mr. Hall purchased Taft Ambulance from Myron Smith Sr. in March of 1995, and 4 years later purchased Schaefer's Shafter Ambulance from Jerry Schaefer. A milestone moment in the company's history occurred in July of 1999 when Harvey purchased Golden Empire Ambulance, making his company the sole provider in the Bakersfield metropolitan area. His final expansion occurred in April of 2014 when Hall Ambulance began providing service to Wasco, resulting in Hall Ambulance serving 88% of Kern County's population as their exclusive 911 paramedic provider.
Please welcome John Surface, Vice President, Corporate Operations, Hall Ambulance Service.
Good morning. I'm going to do my absolute best to get through this without having to break down up here. I've been blessed to be here for almost 21 years now. And of all the assignments that I've ever been given, I think this may be the most difficult. But at the same time, nothing honors me more. So on behalf of all the Hall Ambulance EMTs, paramedics, nurses, pilots, dispatchers, billing staff, maintenance staff, vehicle mechanics, supply technicians, finance staff, human resources specialists, IT specialists, administrative staff, I want to thank everybody for taking time to help us celebrate the life of Harvey L. Hall. He was the founder of Hall Ambulance Service. He's my boss, he was my mentor, and he was my friend. On February 10th, 1971, Hall Ambulance was founded. Today we stand at 478 employees and will respond to more than 100,000 requests for service in 2018. 47 years of constant growth and innovation is a legacy known throughout the emergency medical services community, not just locally, not just in California, but nationally. Today's celebration could not have happened and been so perfect with the help of a lot of people. And there's too many on the list. I'd ask them all to stand, but there's just a long list of people that helped us prepare to celebrate for the guy that we refer to as Lincoln One. So you got Mr. Hall, you got Dr. Hall, Mayor Hall, and to all of us, when you're on the radio, you know when you're a Lincoln One, that's the man speaking to you. Funny story, we had a guy say he was delayed in fog one night, 2 o'clock in the morning, and 5 seconds later, Lincoln One gets on the radio and says, "There's no fog behind you. I'm right behind you, and there's no fog." So that guy showed up everywhere. We want to take a minute to thank our friends from private EMS that came in to help us. While we're all here celebrating the life of Harvey Hall, there are 28 ambulances deployed throughout the city of Bakersfield and surrounding communities that are staffed from our friends from all over the state. These ambulances have allowed our EMTs and paramedics to be here today. And we had all of you seated before they came in, and you can see how long it took those folks to get in here. Assisting us is our good friends from American Ambulance in Fresno, American Ambulance in Visalia, Medic Ambulance from Solano County and Sacramento County, American Medical Response with ambulances from all over California, Lifeline Ambulance from Ventura, Care Ambulance from Los Angeles and Orange County, and Alpha One Ambulance from Sacramento. People drove all night long to be here. Our public, thanks. To make it happen, we had to have some help from our public partners as well. The Kern County Department of Public Health, Emergency Medical Services Division, the Bakersfield Fire Department, the Kern County Fire Department, and the Bakersfield Police Department. So rather than me sit up here and keep talking and rambling on about Hall Ambulance, we took some of our senior employees and we put together a short video that really will help explain what the hallway is all about.
Mr. Hall was an awesome leader. He was one of those leaders that led by example, and not just with his words, but with his actions.
Well, there was a precise way of doing things. I remember one of the first things I learned when we came here was that there was 2 sides to a window. So you cleaned both sides.
You know, he'd always remind us that glass has 2 sides and clean both of them.
I think probably one of the most important things that maybe the most important thing was to make sure that the patient was both comfortable and comforted. And a lot of times just comforting someone can go a long way.
He was really instrumental in bringing paramedics, and then over the years, even since then, higher and higher levels of care to this county. And and I'm happy with this, but this is the only ambulance company that I've worked for. But it's made me proud to work here because of his influence in the whole industry, and I've known that he always wanted to know, or always wanted to do what was best, what was the best thing for the patient.
Being a financial person, I think the most important thing I appreciated about Mr. Hall was what an astute businessman he was. He was very much into detail. He was very detail-oriented. I like that. And no detail went uncovered for him.
Mr. Hall will truly be missed by the business office. He made sure he was always such a part of the business office and made us feel like we were special, and he never missed a moment to tell us how much he appreciated us. And so he'll be missed very much.
Oh, his impact is huge. You know, as we travel around the state and, you know, meet with other ambulance companies within the associations, you don't meet anybody in the EMS industry that doesn't know who Mr. Hall is.
I salute Mr. Hall as being an excellent businessman. He was a generous man, And I cared very deeply for him, as do most of the employees who've been here a long time and have worked for him. And he will certainly be missed more than even he could imagine.
Adopted at birth, Harvey L. Hall was born on January 5, 1941 at Long Beach Memorial Hospital. After a brief stint in Dumas, Texas, his father, Clarence Eugene Pete, and Cecil Hall moved the family to Bakersfield in 1943, where his father took a job as a chief chemist at Douglas Oil. As a lad, Harvey attended Lowell and Longfellow elementary schools, Washington and Golden State junior high schools. He enjoyed participating in Little League and Cub Scouts. Harvey was a proud driller, graduating from Bakersfield High School in 1959. He enjoyed playing baseball and football and writing for the school newspaper, The Blue and White. Harvey's passion for baseball started early on, where at the age of 7, he worked as a bat boy for the Bakersfield Indians. He would return again to Sam Lynn Ballpark at age 25, working as a scoreboard operator for the Bakersfield Bears, and the next year got to try his hand at being the announcer. In 2016, LaVon, Amy, and Skylar coordinated Harvey's very own bobblehead night, complete with Medevac 1 landing in the outfield to deliver the baseball to Mr. Hall for the first pitch. LaVon also fulfilled a longtime dream of Harvey's when he attended the Atlanta Braves baseball fantasy camp. Harvey enjoyed racing starting in 1969. In 1980, Harvey purchased a 1959 Plymouth Roadrunner that he raced at Bakersfield Speedway. He particularly enjoyed being involved in the racing career of Mesa Marin champion Dick Shepherd. Harvey carried his support to the next generation of Shepherds, sponsoring his son, Buddy. Where Omaha orange and blue reigned supreme in Harvey's business life, leisure time for the family leaned towards a shift in the color palette to blue and yellow, as diehard fans of CSUB Roadrunner basketball. Of course, the blue and yellow had to be shared with red and gold when their Amy became head coach of Centennial High School women's basketball. Harvey simply adored LaVon, his wife of 28 years, and that adoration extended to his family and the joy that his children and grandchildren brought him throughout his life.
Please welcome Amy Hall.
Good morning, and on behalf of the Hall family, I want to thank you all for being here. I am honored and amazed by the amount of people who traveled near and far to be here today. Thank you so much. It means more than you know. My dad, in true Harvey Hall fashion, had a plan and outline for his memorial, and I know that he would be so pleased with how today is gone. His plans for his memorial went all the way down to who he wanted to speak and in what order he wanted them to go. So when I read that my dad wanted me to speak and close out his service, I was incredibly honored and then immediately terrified. How do you sum up the life of your father in one speech? I kept searching my brain for the perfect story. And everyone has a great Harvey Hall story. I can't tell you how many times growing up I've heard stories and tales of my dad, and each one was incredibly important, not just to the people telling them, but also to my dad. These stories created the details that is my father. One isn't more important than the other. They all hold equal emphasis in my dad's legacy. I don't have the perfect moment, but I do have a list of things that tell the story of my dad and our family, and these things are the things that I'm going to miss the most. I'm going to miss our annual Christmas Day Bloody Marys. Dad and I were the only ones that would have them, and a few years ago my mom tried to outlaw the Christmas Bloody Marys. My dad always had me make the drinks. He said I knew just how to make them just right. Well, he didn't know that the secret to making a perfect Bloody Mary is just making them quite strong. So after a very strong Christmas Bloody Mary, Dad was ready for a second. And unfortunately, that second drink ended up on the white carpet, and my mom had had enough of Christmas Bloody Marys. Next Christmas, Dad and I pulled out the Bloody Mary supplies, and my mom just kind of gave me this strong look, but she let us carry on. Our tradition was so much more than just having a drink and laughing at goofy things. It was a moment that my dad, who rarely ever drank, could unwind, and just let himself be. I'm gonna miss seeing my dad relaxed, having a probably too strong drink, and occasionally ruining my mother's carpet. I'm also going to miss hearing my dad watching any sort of sports on television. You've never experienced sports until you've watched a game with Harvey Hall. He has about 3 phrases that he would scream over and over again, and I won't repeat them in case there's delicate ears in the crowd, but he was loud and he was rambunctious, but most of all, he was mischievous. If my mom was rooting for a team, my dad was always rooting for the other team. It didn't matter who they were or where they came from, that was his new team. He had a mission to annoy my mom every second of the game, and he always succeeded. My dad could have taught a masterclass in how to annoy someone. He would poke and tease and then shoot me this cheeky smile. My dad taught me a very useful lesson, and that was how much fun it was annoying my mom. And while my dad has left quite big shoes to fill in that category, I'm going to do my absolute best to terrorize my mom every once in a while. I'm going to miss talking to my dad on the phone. He wasn't polite, and most of the time he was clearly annoyed that I had called him. About 80% of the time he would look at the caller ID, see my number, and answer with a, "What do you need, Aim?" He wanted to get to the point and get off the phone as quickly as possible. But my favorite part of the phone call was always at the end. After I'd tell him I loved him, there was always a pause. It was a bit of time where he would really take in the words. It was almost like he was surprised every single time, and then he allowed himself to really let it settle in. He would then respond with an "I love you" back and immediately hang up the phone because he just wanted to get off the phone. My dad's pauses taught me to never take love for granted. It's not a guarantee, it's a gift, and sometimes it can be a lovely little surprise. Lastly, I'm going to miss my dad constantly teaching me about family. Despite our incredible resemblance, it might surprise some of you that I was adopted by my dad. When I was growing up, I never understood when kids would ask me about my real dad. Harvey has always been my real dad. He raised me, he taught me, he supported me, and he loved me. It doesn't get any more real than that. I was taught that families aren't forged by blood, families are built on love and respect. Families aren't perfect, they are hard work. There will be arguments and frustrations, but when love is the backbone of a family, differences are used to learn and grow. Loving my dad has been the easiest thing in the world because from day one, my dad taught me what love is. You don't always get to keep the families you were born into, but sometimes you get to build the family you deserve. For our family, the road to building that bond involved finding special moments with each other, even if it sacrifices the carpet, annoying each other, and appreciating the love we are given. I am so grateful for the things I've learned from my dad. He has created such an incredible legacy, and in the upcoming years, the absence of his loss is going to be felt often. But we have all been given extraordinary tools to pass on his legacy, and it all starts at home with the family. My dad has taught all of us so many things, and while that doesn't make his absence any easier, I find comfort knowing that because of what he taught me, I am prepared to continue creating my best life. The last thing my father said to me was, "I love you, Aim." And for the rest of my life, I'll be forever grateful that I got to have that moment. Because of my dad's devotion to creating a family, I never once doubted or wondered if I was loved. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for your stories that created the core of my father. And above all, thank you for spreading his legacy in the future. Thank you.
All units, please hold your traffic. OCD logging off Lincoln 1. Please join us in a moment of silence honoring Harvey L. Hall, January 5th, 1941 to May 19th, 2018. Harvey L. Hall was a beloved husband, father, and grandfather who committed his life to service as a pioneer in emergency medical services. while also serving his community as Bakersfield's longest-serving mayor, and his commitment to education. May God bless you, and may you rest in peace. Normal traffic.
Please welcome Reverend Ralph Anthony, St. Peter Restoration Community Christian Ministries.
To Levon, all the children, all those of you who have been impacted by Harvey Hall. I just want to remind us of something that he and I were to do. It's an incomplete task. First, we were to add to unity in the communities. Secondly, we were to make a surprise visit to a lady that was in a rest home, a 104-year-old birthday surprise visit. We didn't get to do that. So I'd like to challenge you to think of a senior somewhere that has a birthday coming up and would love to have a surprise visit. Now unto him who is able to keep you from falling and present you faultless before his throne with exceeding joy, to the only wise God, our Savior, be glory, majesty, dominion, and power, both now and forever. Let us all say, Amen.
We now come to the end of today's celebration of life, and having recently gone through Memorial Day, I saw this quote from General George S. Patton. I thought it was fitting, and of course it was sort of delivered in the general's famous way, but he said, "It is foolish and wrong to mourn the men who died, rather we should thank God that such men lived." I think that statement definitely resonates with the life of Harvey L. Hall. And so our mission now is to basically continue the Harvey Hall legacy of unity in our community, and that goes through a variety of different ways in which he did that. I think we can do that as well. And because of his life, we now get to stand on the shoulders of giants to make that happen. Go in peace, and God bless. Thank you.
And all right, good morning, Eds. We just watched the end of this hour-long ceremony devoting and celebrating the life and legacy of Mayor Harvey Hall. It's an end of an era today, this June 2nd, 2018, as the city of Bakersfield and the county celebrates the life of a giant. The past hour, we've seen so many speakers across that stage, people who knew him intimately from the business community, the professional community, the sports community, law enforcement, lots of people sharing their stories, their tributes, and we heard last from his daughter, adopted daughter, Amy, an emotional remembrance of her father, those phone calls that he would make, and all centered around love and family.
That's right, and we heard a lot about continuing his legacy of unity in the community, whether it was from Bakersfield Police Chief Lyle Martin, we heard from Reverend Ralph Anthony, as well as his close friends like Gene Tackett sharing some incredible stories there.
Yeah, and everyone has that intimate remembrance of him, something that he said, did, his incredible commitment to the community. As we mentioned, it's been an hour-long ceremony. As we look live now, this is ending just moments ago. And we want to take you live out to Rabobank outside, where these folks will be exiting. You can see there the flag is still draped right over that entranceway to Rabobank Arena. The community members, that's a long list of dignitaries from Congressman Kevin McCarthy, the speakers we saw, Lyle Martin, Police Chief Horace Mitchell, past president at CSUB. We had folks from the operations to the highest levels of Hall Ambulance share their story, as well as the family, all making their way out now. As on this, we mentioned June 2nd, the end of an era in downtown Bakersfield, in our community, in Kern County as a whole, as we say goodbye to Mayor Harvey Hall, the longest-serving mayor in Bakersfield, and of course the founder of Hall Ambulance. And I was particularly struck with just how personal. We didn't really hear of the personal side of Harvey Hall during his time. He was a professional. He was the mayor. He had the stature and getting those intimate glimpses into his life about how he was a sports fan. Yeah. Getting to see the picture inside of his living room of how those nights would go at his house. The phone calls he made to his daughter. Just those little nuances that you don't see a lot of times.
I learned today that he was adopted, and is I'm from here, and I never knew that.
Right.
So
I'm sure that was behind his decision to adopt his daughter.
Absolutely.
It's continuing on that was given to him. We're going to stay on the air with you for about another 15 minutes. Our live crews and our team coverage of this Day of Remembrance continues. We're going to be joining our live crews as soon as they are able to join us, with lots of people, as we mentioned, who are coming out of this ceremony.
All right, we're going to send things over now to 23 ABC's Tori Cooper, who was inside that service, is now outside with some of those folks that were there as well.
That's right, Faven. Community members are continuing to file out of Rabobank Arena right now, and I'm joined here live with Curtis, who is a Bakersfield resident, is going to share some of his reaction to the Celebration of Life ceremony. Good morning, Curtis.
Oh, good morning to you.
So what was it like in there? Bring me inside.
Well, first of all, I would say they've done a great, fantastic job honoring, our ex-mayor. And I think they came across well, showing the love and the kindness and the person that he was. It was something all of us could learn from. It's a great experience on how to just be a wonderful, respectful, honorable person to other people, along with standing up, trying to establish yourself as somebody positive in the community that loves his fellow man. And that's what I really received from Mayor Hall, knowing him myself personally, a wonderful, beautiful person. Had a great opportunity to share a few conversations with him, and he was a very special light for the city of Bakersfield. And I just pray he's a greater light now and up in the kingdom of heaven.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else you would like to say, maybe a special aspect of the ceremony that really resonated with you the most, really brought out that emotion, and it was a proper goodbye for you?
Well, it was a tremendous goodbye, because they spent time on letting people know who he was as a person and how he really loved his fellow man. And that's what's really important in the world. And we need a lot of that today. We don't have it as we should. But he spent this time letting the smallest to the greatest know how special they was just by just being a person and being in his presence. And so they shared a lot of love today. And another thing I'm just glad of is for me and from knowing him, God Almighty Jesus Christ is special in his life and his character. And I would say if he followed anybody that made him who he was, it would be our Lord and Savior, God Almighty Jesus Christ, the same as mine.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Curtis. I greatly appreciate it, and I know that he left an imprint on so many people. Yes. We're going to definitely try to hear from more people this morning, but thank you so much for joining us. And with that, I will send it back to you, Tim and Faven.
Thank you. God bless you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Tori, thank you so much for that. We want to turn now, as we talked about some of the dignitaries in the audience there. Congressman Kevin McCarthy joining us live now. 23 ABC's Alicia Patillo is with him right now. Alicia, I would imagine he shares the same sentiment from so many people. Standing on the shoulders of giants and really continuing that legacy is what so many people are talking about.
Is it helping PAL? Was it being at the Bakersfield College? What's the scholarships that he gave out? He was known for so many names. The Christmas parade. People don't realize He ran all the parades all the time, never asking for anything in return, but he loved being mayor. He loved being from Bakersfield, and it was a great celebration of his life.
That's right. And your personal relationship with him, everyone I've talked to today, he's a lovable person. He is so giving. What was your personal relationship with him?
Well, I knew him for quite some time, and the way I met him, my father was a firefighter. So we had this connection from that type of service, and we had a long relationship. He's like a mentor, because from downtown, and long before I was elected, he'd take me to lunch, and we'd talk about different challenges throughout, and we'd always communicate, especially him being mayor when I was elected in the process as well. This is a guy that every Saturday would get up to clean, and not just by himself, but would lead people to beautify the city. He always wanted the world to be better. And, you know, Horace Mitchell talked about the story of us going down to raise money for Cal State. That's the man he was, always to give more, and I hope his legacy lives on with everybody.
And what do you want to tell to the people of Bakersfield, just to keep them encouraged? You know, they are mourning, but they can't forget that smile. They can't forget those iconic suits. I mean, what do you want to tell to the Bakersfield community today?
Well, the best way to honor Harvey is honor his legacy. Do something good for somebody else. Be proud of where you come from in Bakersfield and make it a better place. And be who you want to be. Do not be shy of how somebody wants to dress. I mean, he wanted to bring attention to the city and bring attention to the greatness of the individuals in the city, and he wanted to unite people, and everybody could participate in that.
Right. Unity.
Unity in the community.
Unity in the community.
Exactly.
I want to thank you so much.
Thank you.
Representative Kevin McCarthy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we will continue to bring you live coverage from all of the officials that were here this morning. There were tears. There were so many happy moments, but we just want to take you guys inside of what just happened for that hour. You know, we heard from his family, we heard songs, we heard reflections, so many people with so many memories of Mayor Harvey Hall, and he lived by unity in the community. So we'll continue to bring you the latest as we continue to talk to people as they're exiting the ceremony. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Alicia, thanks so much for that great moment to say to continue on his legacy is really to continue on his work, and that centers around the community. We want to bring you back, if you're just joining us here, and we talked about Alicia mentioning just how many speakers there were, and Gene Tackett, of course, a local past supervisor, political consultant, knew Harvey personally, really shared some great moments during the ceremony.
He talked about the moment that Harvey Hall was elected and what he said and the promises that he made at his swearing-in ceremony. Take a listen.
On January 2nd, 2001, during the swearing-in ceremony, the new mayor made this statement: "Our city is one of greatness, and it will be my goal every day to make every day better than the day before, and to try and make this city the best in America."
And he certainly did.
Absolutely.
And that was his goal. You know, when he took that pledge from President Bush to say, really, get in your city, find the problems that are going on with homelessness. He took that head on, and that's still going on today.
Absolutely. And just a testament, you know, we did hear from a lot of dignitaries and, you know, a lot of, you know, politicians and very important people in town that worked closely. But the interview that Tori had with Curtis just a while ago, you just have just local residents that want to get out there and show their love and respect for him.
Yeah, and the coming together of the agencies, you know, we saw Kern County Fire, we saw Bakersfield Police, Kern County Sheriffs, 23 ABC's Tori Cooper's with the sheriff, Donnie Youngblood, about his involvement today. And I would imagine, Tori, it has to do with that coming together. These are multiple agencies coming together in this time, not just ambulances and first responders, but sheriffs as well.
That's exactly right, Tim. Several pillars from our community are present here today, including our very own Sheriff Youngblood, who's going to share some of his reaction to the ceremony inside and maybe just your personal experience working with Mr. Hall, knowing him for a few years. And
yeah, when you listen to the people talking, it's like they were telling the same story that we would all tell. You know, if he called you man, he liked you. And, you know, Harvey paid me the greatest compliment one time when he said, I see you everywhere I go. And nobody went to more places than Harvey Hall. So I remember that. We're going to miss him. What an ambassador for our city, in fact, for our county, known all over this country. Just a great man.
And so what about inside? What about that ceremony really was maybe closure for you and resonated with you, brought out some of that emotion and was a proper goodbye?
Well, I think that as the speakers were up there, they told the story, and they were very similar. The way he treated everyone felt special by Harvey Hall, and you kind of felt like you were his best friend, and everybody felt that. And that is really, really nice to see that reaction there. That it was funny. That it was just really a good celebration of life.
Well, thank you so much, Sheriff Youngblood. I really greatly appreciate you sharing that with me. And with that, we will send it back to you, Tim and Faven.
When he called you man, you knew. Hey,
did he call you man, Tim?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. You know, on a personal note, you know, he was an example. You followed my career. Like I said, I've been here 11 years. You grew up here too, so you've been able to watch that. And he paid me compliments, and I'll be forever grateful for that. And able to reflect now on everything he's done.
Well, I'll tell you what, he never called me man, so I don't know what that means. Well, one of the men who took to the stage this morning during the Celebration of Life ceremony was Bakersfield Police Chief Lyle Martin.
Yeah, Martin talked about how he worked really to keep this morning lighthearted, and he shared some of the stories and intimate moments as we were talking about earlier. It's a glimpse into the man and the legend of Harvey Hall. Let's take a listen to Lyle Martin from earlier.
This celebration, so I start with my struggle with what to wear. Well, not really a struggle. I was not about to wear a suit. Let's face it, there's nothing in my closet that would honor the mayor. Because as he once told the media, hell, the mayor is the mayor, man.
To Amazing Grace earlier, that was played by Bakersfield Police Department and Bakersfield Fire Department, the Joint Honor Guard, as that was that last moment. They all kind of came in there and joined together. That was a powerful moment that played out for several minutes during that.
And even at the beginning of the Celebration of Life ceremony, we were talking about agencies coming together. Officer Robert Rodriguez with California Highway Patrol sang that national anthem, did a wonderful job with that as well.
All right, coming up next, we want to now turn to one of our live crews, Tori Cooper, who's live outside, getting more people who are exiting. She talked to Sheriff Donnie Youngblood, another community member. And Tori, who are you here with now?
I'm here with Andre Gonzalez, one of our city councilmen, and he is here to share his reactions about the ceremony that took place inside. So go ahead, bring me inside.
Well, it was incredible to see just the number of people who were here, everyone from Kevin McCarthy to all of the city council members, current city council members, many people throughout various parts of the community. I was reflecting on Mayor Hall's first campaign for mayor, and his slogan was unity in our community, and that was reflective in today's celebration of life. I mean, there were individuals from all four corners of our community here today, and it was just a very powerful service.
And so unity in the community, it sounds like that really spilled out into the community. You know, everyone was starting to know that slogan, and it probably became very popular. What else from inside really resonated with you?
Well, you know, the police chief, Lyle Martin, had some really funny remarks and about their close relationship, and I thought that was really telling of who Mr. Hall was. His daughter Amy also shared with us a little bit about the personal side of Mayor Hall, a glimpse in the private life that we don't necessarily get to see or had an opportunity to see. So it was special to see that the many various different sides of Mr. Hall. He was certainly someone who touched the lives of many people. I mean, just leaving the arena out into patio area here, I've interacted with a dozen people who have all shared with me a story of how Mr. Hall personally interacted with them and impacted their lives. Everything from delivering a scholarship to individuals at their high schools personally, to awarding people recognitions for the services that they've contributed to our community. It was incredible to see so many people here who each have a story about Mr. Hall.
Yeah. And so what was your time like serving on city council with him?
Well, you know, I joined the city council in 2016, and Mayor Hall was leaving at the same time, and so I didn't get to serve with him on the council, but certainly throughout the community I have had an opportunity to work with him on various different issues related to litter and keeping Bakersfield clean, to the Homeless Collaborative, an effort that he championed as a community leader. And so I've had an opportunity to work with him over the past at least dozen years. And I've known him since I was in high school. Actually, when I was a high school student, I wanted to get involved with his first campaign because I was so enthralled with the unity in our community theme, and I thought that that was an important thing for Bakersfield at that time. And called his office and said, as a 17-year-old, I want to get involved. And Mr. Hall met with me himself for over an hour and had a one-on-one conversation that I thought was just incredible, that he would take the time to meet with this high school student one-on-one and trying to get to know me. But that's who this man was.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Andre, for sharing that story with me. He definitely left an imprint on your life. And with that, I will send it back to you, Tim and Faven.
All right, Tori, thank you so much. We've heard from the House Majority Leader, Kevin McCarthy, talking about his remembrances, Andre Gonzalez, the sheriff, lots of people sharing those stories. And I love the intimate stories about him taking time when he was a high school kid, Andre Gonzalez, and making those important connections.
And I remember speaking with Andre Gonzalez about that moment. He said he did not expect Harvey Hall to sit down with him for that long.
And I'll mention he said the same thing in his speech. You know, when he was a sergeant with the department, he went in there to his office, didn't expect to get in there, but wow, Harvey Hall gave so much of his life and passion to this community. We're going to leave you with that moment inside that ceremony where those taps played Amazing Grace. On this day, June 2nd, we remember Harvey Hall for all he did in our community. For all of us at 23 ABC, thank you for joining us for this special coverage. Good day.
Godspeed, Harvey Hall. Godspeed.